Oh, it's a beautiful day here at Yankee Stadium. The view from the blimp, the place is jammed. It's the Yankees against the Mets, so it doesn't get much better than this. A.J. Burnett is about to throw out the first pitch. Four-star general, commanding general of the Army, Commander Dunwoody, is going to throw out the first pitch here at Yankee Stadium. It's a hearty hello from A.J. Burnett. And let's see if it's a strike. Getting a nice hand from the crowd here at Military Appreciation Day at Yankee Stadium. Nancy wants your belly to go through the signs again. Little Ephus pitch. And she took as much time getting the sign and throwing the pitch as you used to.
Thanks.
So a nice moment here at the stadium. They had a couple of displays of parachuters earlier in the day, so it's been a lovely afternoon so far in New York City. Let's look at the game time weather conditions presented by Bigelow Tea. 68 degrees and a perfect humidity for 68 degrees, 68%, wind 8 miles per hour, forecast mix of sun and clouds. A.J. Burnett is taking his warm-ups, so let's take a look at the New York Mets starting lineup. Alex Cora, the shortstop, leads off. Fernando Martinez in left will bat second. Batting third and playing center field, Carlos Beltran. David Wright has been on fire of late. The third baseman cleans up. Batting fifth and playing right field, Ryan Church. Gary Sheffield, the DH, has had a nice series, 4 for 10. He is going to bat sixth. Batting seventh and playing first base off yesterday against the lefty Pettit is Daniel Murphy. Ryan Schneider will catch. He'll bat eighth, and batting ninth and playing second base is Luis Castillo.
Here's A.J. Burnett on the season, 12 starts, 4-3, 4.89 ERA, 73 and 2/3 innings, 72 hits, 37 and 66 walks to strikeouts. The G pitcher scouting report, he needs a good one. Coming off of his last start, only 2 2/3 innings, 5 runs and 5 walks against Boston. And get the K-ball going, Al. I mean, if he establishes his fastball and shows that he gets his hook over early, he led the league in strikeouts last year. He's a power guy. He needs that's a big part of his game. And a tough draw once again with Johan Santana. You know, A.J. Burnett does not catch a break today, facing one of the best pitchers in the league.
Burnett is ready. Cora is ready. Let's do it at the stadium. And the first pitch is a strike called by home plate umpire Jim Wolf. Jim's brother is a pitcher, so you assume he's a pitcher's umpire. Alex Cora 1 for 8 in the first 2 games of this series, and he fouls that one off.
Randy Wolf, you mentioned his brother, the Dodgers. Never allowed to umpire the game out for obvious reasons. Jim Wolf with his brother pitching. I agree with you, David. Early on, let's watch for A.J. Burnett to get called strikes. It's the difference between a put-away strikeout with his curveball, that pitch there overthrown, than a called strike. Because what it does, and it also establishes early with the Mets lineup to look to say, hey, he's got his curveball that's being called strike. And you could expand on that, having had great slider, breaking ball repertoire in your career. There's a difference between put-away pitches and called strikes.
Drive to right field and deep, going back. Swisher! And he makes the play! And he knocks the Mets sign down in the auxiliary scoreboard. So some damage. And now he's going to be part of the grounds crew. Very, very handy. Fits perfectly. But he's not touching the Mets. There he is.
Well, there's a changeup that's left up in the zone. A.J. trying to establish his 4th pitch. Looked like off the bat, Swisher thought this ball wasn't hit as far. Cora, certainly not a home run hitter, but it had enough juice to it for him to have to get on his horse there and make a great play.
Pitch to Martinez is upstairs.
So crash into that sign.
Down goes the Mets. Count 2-0 on Martinez. Martinez 3 hits yesterday. And that one is ripped to center field. Melky Cabrera coming on, and he'll make the play for the second out.
Martinez, a guy that really this Mets coaching staff and front office is wondering as to whether he's going to stick around long. He seems to be overmatched early on. His batting average coming into before today's game, yesterday's game, was right at 200.
Here's Carlos Beltran, switch hitter, batting from the left side against the ready Burnett. Fouled away. Burnett started what has been a pretty tough week for the Yankees. First game in Boston, starting on 7 days rest, only went 2 2/3. See what Beltran's done so far this year. And that was with the rejiggering of the rotation with Wong back in and Hughes out, and they didn't want to have the lefties pitch back to back, and they split up people, and then A.J. Burnett ended up starting that first game against Boston, which gave him a 7-day rest. And after the game, Joe Girardi said, well, I'm going to take blame on this because he didn't have command. He had too much rest. And A.J. Burnett did the right thing. He said, that's not true. He said, I have to get people out. Doesn't matter how many days rest I have, 5, 6, 7. I've got to get people out and pitch better than that. The 2-1. There's a strike. IOTV offers you incredible HD picture and sound. HD is free with IOTV, the official HD service provider of Yankees baseball on Yes. Crowd looking for the strikeout. They get it. So Burnett, a 12 pitch, 1-2-3 inning. They got Beltran looking at a curveball. That's nothing. And the Yankees coming to bat. It's 1-2-3 first inning for A.J. Burnett. Santana will face this Yankee lineup. Leading off the captain, the shortstop, Derek Jeter. Look at the numbers lifetime against Santana, pretty good. Johnny Damon's in left field. He'll bat second. Batting third, playing first base, Mark Teixeira. Cleaning up and playing third base is Alex Rodriguez. Robinson Cano, the second baseman, will bat fifth. Batting sixth and playing right field is Nick Swisher. The DH is Hideki Matsui. Melky Cabrera plays center. And batting ninth and catching, Francisco Cervelli.
Here is Johan Santana, 6 foot, 195 from Tovar, Venezuela. 12 starts, 8-3, 2.39 ERA. 79 innings, 67 hits, only 22 walks, and 91 punchies. And the G pitcher scouting report, he's got the guts of a burglar, no doubt about it. He came in from a small market in Minnesota. He got booed on opening day last year. This guy has proved himself. He's definitely got a lot of savvy and a lot of guts. And hop on. He's an innings eater. 5 straight seasons with 200 or more innings pitched, and watch the long ball. He's allowed 10 home runs this year and gave up 4 in his last game.
And Jeter races one to right field, a base hit. So Jeter good numbers as we showed you against Santana makes those numbers better. Let's take a look at the Mets defense, which will be behind Johan Santana. In the outfield, Fernando Martinez, Carlos Beltran, and Ryan Church. That's left to right. In the infield, right, Cora, Castillo, and Murphy. Castillo, 5 errors at second base. Big one on Friday, ending the game. Schneider behind the plate. Santana is on the mound. Now, in that Phillies game where he gave up 4 home runs, sometimes he's susceptible to home runs against left-handed batters because his best pitch is his changeup, and that moves down and into a lefty, which is kind of their happy zone. So maybe he'll go with the breaking ball or the fastball away.
Well, in addition to that, Michael, with the left-handed batters, he's more of inclined to go fastball slider. And when as a lefty, you throw a lot of sliders, the hand motion is different than the changeup. He kind of lost his feel a little bit for the changeup.
Popped up behind the plate and out of play.
Because a changeup you invert, it's almost thrown like a screwball where your thumb is underneath and you turn it over. And his last start against the Phillies, he was throwing, with Utley and Howard and who else I'm missing? Oh, Ibanez. Hits fastball slider. And here it'll be interesting to see with the left-handers that Joe Girardi and the Yankees are throwing at him. There's that slider again. I think early on we could watch for, and I can appreciate this because I couldn't throw the changeup. The changeup, you really have to stay inside the baseball and almost turn it over, screwball-like. With a slider, your hand goes inverted or inside the opposite direction. So to do this a lot with the left-handers, as you saw there with Damon, and then to come invert with your changeup, it's hard to do or be consistent with it.
Another shattered bat for Damon. Jeter got out of the way of that one. Does that mean, though, Al, that he would not throw the change to a lefty?
No, he'll throw it, but not as much. What I'm saying here, when a changeup comes through, you make sure your circle change, that you get through the baseball this way. You finish. Now with a slider, you're going to finish this way. So now that whole inverted and then internal kind of changes and affects the way you would release the ball. And that was some of his problem with the Phillies. And again, with the lefties, with Damon and Cano, and we have some switch hitters there, Matsui.
The 2-2. Popped up. Third base side, right. Admit it, Al, you get the baseball in your hand, you feel like pitching right now.
I do too, don't you?
I almost got up and took a swing at you right there. And that had nothing.
You mean a punch?
That had nothing to do with the distraction.
You're hanging it. You're hanging it. Get the ball.
And I thought about that changeup. Well, you had the split change.
I threw the split. Yeah. But it was similar. You're exactly right. The difference between getting inside the baseball or getting around the baseball. And we've talked a lot about that with Andy Pettitte. Andy Pettitte's kind of a cutter, similar to you,
yep.
Kind of around the ball. Most power guys get around the ball a little more. Four-seamers, more of a true riding, boring action. Whereas, sinker ballers tend to get inside the ball more. And that's right along the lines of a changeup or a sinker ball pitcher.
2-2. Got him. There's that change. Wasn't even great location, but he got him on the change of speed. It was actually up in the zone.
Exactly what Michael's saying here. Santana has such tremendous arm speed, and that's what you hear hitters all the time. They're basing what they see out of the hand. There's the grip. He throws the circle change. He has a short stride, and he gets on top well, and then with the tremendous arm speed, throw it just like a fastball. Trust the grip will take the velocity off. Hitters can't hold up. And in that case there, Johnny, he's just hoping he foul it off.
And the pitch to Teixeira is high.
It's a tremendous arm speed. That's it. That's the difference between superior changeup or what David Cohn threw with a split finger. You can't slow your arm speed.
There's a strike. Sounds like a broken bat pop-up. And Castillo's there. And the crowd gives him a somewhat derisive cheer. Hey, I got to tell you something about Luis Castillo. What happened on Friday, I think baseball fans, Yankee fans were overjoyed that they won, but baseball fans felt sorry for the guy. Stood in front of his locker, answered all the questions, came out yesterday, got a couple of hits, and that does tell you something. He didn't bury himself. He didn't woe is me it, and I thought that was big league.
I completely agree. He took it like a man, as he should have.
A lot of guys make an error like that, they're not sitting in front of their locker answering questions. Pitch to A-Rod's upstairs.
And admittedly said he had a sleepless night.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure he did too.
But isn't that the best way to get David, as a player? Because it's going to be rooted out. It's so obvious. I mean, to come up with just say it like it is. Nobody can give you any analysis or criticism of it if you be honest. Clanked it. Missed it.
Line drive right at core, and that's going to do it. Sounded like another broken bat. Sounded like Santana broke 3 bats in that inning. Damon, Teixeira, and Rodriguez. Leadoff single by Jeter is wasted. We played 1, no score. Brought to you by Verizon Fios, over 100 HD channels and the fastest internet. This is Fios, this is big. Sharon Martis against CC Sabathia. And the Nationals are in town for the first of 3 against the Yankees as interleague play continues. That's on My 9. Our coverage starts at 7. There's CC. And the pitch to David Wright is fouled back. David has a 6-game hitting streak. Check that. He has a 9-game hitting streak. Beltran had a 6-game hitting streak. How's this for Hot? He's 21 for his last 65. That's a 600 batting average. Leads the major leagues hitting 365. And it shows your fans never have enough, because Met fans jump on Wright because he doesn't get enough big hits. The guy's hitting 365.
He especially wears that left-handed pitching. Well over 400 against lefties this year. As you see, batting average in the major league leaders. He's hitting 322 against righties as well.
And truly emerging as the leader of this team. He shows it on the field. Old school, kind of blue-collar player.
Breaking ball, strike 3.
Well, that's a nasty hook early on by called strikes. He's got 2 of them so far, with Beltran locking him up to the end of first.
Well, you know you have a good one. Watch right. That's called a buckler, knee buckler, where you know when you throw that kind of breaking ball and you get the right-handed batter to buckle right there and it's still a strike in the strike zone, that's when you know you got a pretty good one.
Ground ball up the middle. Jeter's right there. That Church played perfectly. 2 away.
And you may see early on the Mets hitters, if AJ's on, and then when his stuff is on, he's as dominant as anybody in baseball. Perfectly placed position.
There's a lot of talk about Derek Jeter and not having range up the middle. You've really seen him adjust and kind of cheat up the middle this year. Really getting to the ball to his left, moving to his left much better this year. As you can see, he was cheating Ryan Church almost up the middle there.
Here's Sheffield. Sheffield 2 home runs so far in this series. Sheffield taking off the scrap heap after being put on waivers by the Tigers. And boy, the Mets really need him, especially with all the injuries that happened. There was some debate on whether or not they should sign him, but it worked out beautifully, and they get him at a bargain basement minimum wage price. A Hall of Fame type talent, the 1-1. Boy, he's got a good breaking ball today.
There's no doubt about it. He's kind of pitching backwards and establishing early in the game that he will throw his breaking ball for strikes when he's behind in the count. We're seeing back-to-back breaking balls here, and once again, look at Sheffield. When you talk about locking him up. See those right-handed hitters leaning out of the way, and the ball ends up on the outside corner.
And the Sheffield could not hold up. Tight breaking ball in the dirt. 12-pitch first inning, 10-pitch second inning, 22 pitches for A.J. Burnett. 6 up, 6 down for the Mets. And we go to the bottom of the second. History sponsored by Mercedes, your Mercedes-Benz tri-state dealers on the web at searchmercedes.com. On June 8th of 1969, Mickey Mantle had number 7 retired. No one will ever wear that again in Yankee history. That was Al coughing. He obviously has some kind of affliction. He hit the wrong cough button. Full disclosure, Al, right? You hit David's cough button.
It kind of humanizes the broadcast.
Absolutely. I got choked up about Mick.
I did.
Robinson Cano takes a strike. See, the best thing, David, like we all have boxes here that you can hit the cough button. And my box says Michael K. Yours says David. And Al says Al. And he decided to hit the cough button on the David one.
Can't really say anything because I was trying to use the telestrator over here the other day on TV. So I can't really talk.
O'Neill's done that 3 times this year.
He's choked up. Mickey.
Great Mickey Mantle.
Yes.
The 1-2. Driven the other way.
Did you ever meet Mickey, Al?
I did.
He was great, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was so good to talk to.
Just because I coughed and pushed the wrong button. My first start as a Yankee, as a major leaguer, Mickey Mantle was the broadcaster. Rizzuto. That's pretty cool.
And your first start,
and
really?
I saved it. I saved that tape. I mean, your first start, right? You probably saved the tape.
Sure.
And Mickey Mantle was the broadcaster.
What did he say about you? Anything cool?
I know that the first day there was a little comeback fly ball to right field, and he was very apologetic to Winfield not getting the ball.
Right.
And Hawk Harrelson steps in and goes, "Oh no, Mick, he should have had that ball." He goes, "Well, he's so polite on the air."
So he didn't last very long in the booth? Is what you're
I don't
saying?
know. No, he can be polite.
1-2. All joking aside, that's a pretty cool thing. Your first game was broadcasted by Mickey Mantle.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Saved it. Now I got David Conan, Michael K.
You've come down quite a bit, at least the Michael K part. That one is lined into left center field. It is a base hit. It gets past Beltran, and it rolls to the wall as Cano gets to second with a leadoff double.
See Robbie getting deep into the count again, gets a 2-2 pitch. Santana trying to go away with a fastball, gets it kind of the outer third, more middle-ish. And this is Cano's straight, hitting the fastball the other way, driving it into the gap. I've seen so many more at-bats like this from Cano this year, working the count a little deeper, staying on the fastball the other way, and he generally pulls off speed pitches, and that's when he hits his home runs.
Swisher thinks about a push bunt, takes a ball.
It's a good idea right there from Swisher. We saw him do that earlier this year, and of course, to the right side, Castillo's not moving as well as he used to, and you've got a little bit of inexperience at first base, and Johan Santana, the lefty, falling off to the third base side. So, nice idea there by Swisher.
Another thought about a bunt. That's a strike.
Got Daniel Murphy, the young Met, playing first base. Not really a first baseman by trade. And certainly had his problems in left field as well. And the Mets really like him as a hitter. Trying to find a place for him to stay in the lineup and get his bat going. But I think left field's probably not the spot, Al. And first base he's a little better at, but certainly not a first baseman by trade.
Nick Swisher has 12 home runs in this ballpark, and he's thinking about bunting twice. I don't get it. Fly ball to center field. Beltran camps underneath it. Tagging is Cano. Here's the throw. And Cano moves to third.
Well, just the same, it works. Sack flyer, sack bunt. He's getting the high fives. I think part of it is, I hear what you're saying, Michael. He's .214 batting average against a tough pitcher. You're going to try to figure out any way to manufacture a run early. It looks so far A.J. Burnett is on. You're facing a premier front-end starter in Santana. Runs are going to be at a premium. He's not feeling comfortable, or as comfortable as he had earlier in the year when he was hot.
Well, we talked about this on Friday, and another chance to debate. Now they bring the infield in, and they will give up the run, or they will not give up the run, pitching against A.J. Burnett. Here's Hideki Matsui. Your thoughts on this?
Well, it's Santana. He's a good changeup. Good. He can get the ball down. He can get the ball on the ground when he needs to. Although probably for his career, he's more of a fly ball pitcher. But he can adjust. Well, Jerry Manuel rolling the dice right here. He figures it's going to be a pitcher's duel, and as Ralph said, one run can mean a lot early in the game.
I don't like it. Early in the game, it says A.J. Burnett can be as dominating as any pitcher. But I think this early on, Michael, I would take the out and give the run up. You got a guy that could, as David just said, he's a fly ball pitcher with the changeup if it's up in the zone. Early on, I take outs.
Count 3-0, so Matsui not biting on the pitches off the plate.
And Michael, it does change your mindset as a pitcher.
right.
As you could see right there on a 2-0 pitch, he chooses to go to the slider. So even on the mound, it changes your whole mindset when the infield's brought in. You feel like you got to pitch differently and really carefully. And he might end up just going ahead and letting Matsui go here and try to set up a double play ball.
There's a strike.
Well, 3-1, 3-0 slider.
Pitching this inning and this at bat as if it were the 9th inning. That's the mentality. 2-0 slider, 3-0 slider. And if I'm Matsui and you're seeing that, you got to be sitting off speed right here.
And those numbers might be why he's pitching so carefully. So Matsui 6 for 18. And he does walk Matsui. And runners on first and third, one out. Well, there's a shot from the Mohegan Sun Sports Bar. Hey, everybody, how you doing? At Mohegan Sun, you'll find a million different ways to play with something for everyone. Visit MoheganSun.com for more information. Got to get out there one of these days. Melky Cabrera comes to the plate. Runners on first and third with one out. That time he goes with the fastball, and I think his backswing got Ryan Schneider.
Well, you can hear that all the way up here. Long swing by Melky.
Oh. I mean, when you see that, it explains why every now and then John Flaherty's a little off.
Whoa, flash. Whoa.
John, we love you, really.
Santana has a delivery that really helps him not have runners run. A lot of times lefty, so how lefty it's so easy. You have to have that certain leg kick that doesn't cross over the pitcher's rubber. In 17 starts, he has not given up a stolen base, only 2 caught stealing. Nobody tries him.
The 0-1. Really making Schneider work behind the plate and count 1-1.
Important here, obviously, for the Mets and Santana to keep the double play in order. Pitch to the lineup as a whole unit as opposed to individual batters.
The 1-1. Foul back, 1-2.
Melky cooling off here in June. 186 batting average coming into tonight. 43 at bats is 8 hits. Santana knows that. Knows who you feel better about pitching to. Lifetime, Santana's 1 for 8, 125 batting average. All of this goes into scout reports. You look at it, you see guys in certain situations, who you're going to pitch around. If you get behind, you'll still continue to pitch backwards. If you walk them, so what? You'll start over with the next guy.
Two-two. Rip foul. And Cano says fair. Don't hit it fair. Don't hit it at me. Just point it. Says it again. And the 2-2. Rip foul. Really held up on that off-speed pitch, but it's still too quick.
Well, Al, right here, if you're reading the bat on the mound, you've got him sped up. A fastball in that he pulled foul, a slider in that he pulled foul. You know, Santana's so tough late in the count, as you can see here. This is what you call speeding up the bat. Get him to speed up his bat, pull it foul. Now you got him set up for soft down and away, and that great changeup that Johan Santana features.
Count 3-2. Good at bat so far for Cabrera. Cervelli on deck.
And in his career, Johan Santana with the full count, opposing batters are batting 180. And a lot of that is because he can throw his changeup. And this year in particular, opposing hitters are 2 for 27 for a 125 average on full counts.
And the pitch. He got him on the change. Either a change or a slider. It was a change.
It's a change. He kind of pulled across a little bit, but that's the thing about Santana. He can throw it for strikes on 3-2 counts. You see Melky's way out in front of that. Looks like another fastball in. Santana can throw his changeup to both sides of the plate. As you see the changeup grip right there. He's trying to get it away, but it still had good arm action. He kind of pulled across it a little bit, got around it, but still very effective.
And that's that feel I was talking about with the sliders. When you throw a lot of sliders to the left-hander, and then the changeup, normally that changeup would float down and away. So on that replay, cut.
There's a strike. Popped up. First base side. Murphy runs out of room.
You know, we saw with Derek Jeter almost leading off this game. The best time to go after guys like Santana, or really Santana in particular, is on the first pitch. Throughout his career, on the first pitch he throws to any batter, opposing hitters are hitting 319. And in 09, opposing hitters are hitting 300. Now, as I said, we pointed out the full count. The average goes way down, only 125 with a full count. So the point being, the deeper you get in the count, the tougher he is.
The 0-2. 1-2.
Which really describes what you just said, David, on any good pitcher. Certainly your year in, year out, perennial all-star type guys. That's what they do. They'll say, hey, jump him early, especially if he'll establish, as AJ does, establish early with a fastball strike. That might be your best hack. Here comes a changeup here.
And that is blooped out to shallow right. It's going to dunk in for a base hit. Cervelli with a big hit. Cano scores. An RBI single for the rookie catcher. And the Yankees lead 1-0. And that's got to chap a pitcher.
It does. Perfectly placed. But look, he's out in front. He was able to keep his hands back long enough so that the barrel of the bat was able to give him just enough. And it was an excellent, well-located changeup away. Cervelli, once he starts out, you just hope that it obviously stays away from the right fielder, as it did. Good pitch and good hitting. You know, stayed on it enough. As a pitcher, as you say, Mike, you'd much rather give up that hard line drive single somewhere.
Count 1-0 to Jeter.
See Jeter 1 for 1. Jeter against left-handed pitching this year, almost like David Wright. Over 400 with his average. 424 this year with 3 home runs against left-handed pitchers is Derek Jeter.
I would just say the majority of left-handers don't live inside. Even though Jeter's got that inside-out swing, his hitting zone, or his best area, is that outer half for him to be able to drive right center.
This is the 30th pitch of the inning for Santana upcoming.
Michael, you mentioned about how frustrating Cervelli's single is. As he played out that inning, a leadoff double to Cano, gets a sac fly, moves him over. He kind of pitched around Matsui, gets the big strikeout with Cabrera. So he's seeing, hey, I'm out of this, and then you give up a little bloop single. There is some residual effect to that, as you see here with the 3-0 count.
And they turn him loose on 3-0, hoping to get a fastball. He did, but he fouled it away.
I like it. I mean, we just noted Derek Jeter hitting against left-handers this year. And see Carrera versus Santana, 9 for 24 with a home run. He got a fastball away. It's where he likes it, taking a shot at right field. A little bit late. He wanted to make sure he probably was going to get a good ball to hit, and just didn't quite pull the trigger soon enough. But still, I like that. I like it from Derek Jeter, swinging the bat with authority this year.
3-1. There's that great change.
Which even makes even more sense. 3-0. You're going to get your fastball, and now here comes back that Bugs Bunny changeup. Very hard for a hitter to stay back. How's a look for it again? Throw 3-1, throw 3-2.
And the 3-2. Line drive, base hit. Rounding third is Matsui. Charging is Martinez. Here's the throw. It's wide, and it gets past Schneider as the runners move up. Cervelli to third. Jeter to second. And RBI for the captain. It's a 2-0 Yankee lead.
You see Santana tries to sneak a fastball inside on Derek, and he turns on it. Brings his hands in, gets the barrel of the bat right to the ball. Martinez has got a good run at it. Just offline, up the line a little bit. A good throw, might have been a close play right there, especially with Matsui running. Santana where he should be, backing up, but no chance to make a play. Now you got second and third with 2 outs. And an RBI single for Jeter, which probably is going to be a single and take the base on the throw.
So Dan Warthen comes out to talk with Santana, and no matter how many runs the Yankees score in this inning, and when you get 2 against Santana, you're going to sign up for it. The big thing that they're doing is they're building up his pitch count. And not that they treat him with kid gloves, but he is this franchise. And they're not going to put you much past 100, 110. So if you can get him out of the game, then you've done your job. This is what they used to do with Pedro Martinez.
This is when a pitcher becomes most vulnerable, Al, when you get up into those multiple pitch innings. He's well over 30 pitches on this inning, as we noted earlier, and that's when fatigue sets in. You'll be more prone to make a mistake.
Here's Damon. And the pitch upstairs.
And that's the kind of pitches that'll happen. You're right, David. You've been there. I've been there. 35 pitches. And in general, you could kind of take a start or pitchers work within the inning. And generally speaking, that 10, 12 to 15 pitches is comfort zone. That 46, 35 this inning.
Popped up, and that'll be out of play.
And as just David is describing, you know, to repeat a consistent delivery with the proper mechanics, making sure that your release point is the same, it's hard to do when you get up into this 35, 36 pitch count.
It's like a boxer on the ropes. You know, you're waiting for the bell to ring. You hope you can just get back in the dugout and regroup without any more damage.
And if you're keeping score at home, as David said earlier, it's going to be an RBI single for Jeter. No error on Martinez. Because on the throw all the way home, the assumption is that both runners would have moved up. First 7 starts, 0.78 ERA for Santana. The last 5, it's a little more bloated, 4.64. 1-2. Grounded foul. They are really making Santana work. His next pitch is going to be the 50th of the game for him.
Well, when any pitcher, if you're especially fastball change, the speed variation should be about that 15 miles. If you can get even more than that, it's even better with great arm speed. And as we've seen so far, Santana's velocity is in that low 90 range at best. 90, 91, we're seeing a lot of those. Earlier in the year, he would touch 94, 95.
Line drive, base hit to left field. 1 run scores. Here comes Jeter. Here's the throw. Not in time. Cut off. And they're going to get Damon in a rundown. And Damon is safe. And they over on second. And he's safe again. Now they're going to say that he pushed the ball out of his glove. So the umpire is going to say he pushed the ball out of the glove, and he's going to explain that to Joe Girardi. Well, as they pick this apart, you'll see this rundown, see in fact if he did push it out of the glove. There's Cora. I don't know about that.
No.
That's a bad call. He just ran into him. He did not push the ball out of his glove from the first angle. I don't know. That is really tight. 4-0 Yanks. Somewhat controversial. You could read it either way. We've looked at it a number of times. Was that just a natural motion going into second base, or did he actually slap at the ball? I don't know. I don't think he did. I mean, that is a really tight play.
Well, it's certainly not blatant, but if you see right there the position that Fielding Colbreth had, there may have been just a little bit for him to see the hand going down. So you see his shoulder, hits his forearm. I think that's okay. He's in the baseline. Cora is.
It looks like he's bracing himself for impact, and he just happened to hit the glove. I mean, it's really tight. I mean, if you could understand why the Yankees wouldn't like it. You would understand why the Mets think that's what happened. But usually when a call like that is made, it's very, very blatant. I don't think that was blatant at all. Count 2-0 to Daniel Murphy. See, now, he looks like he's turning his head to avoid the impact. Now, it's nothing like that play in 2004 when A-Rod slapped at Bronson Arroyo's hand at first base. I mean, that was clear. He was trying to knock the ball out. I don't think that Damon was trying to knock the ball out. I mean, he's trying to knock it out with impact. But that's the call. On the Modell scoreboard, Yankees just care about 4-0. That's what they lead as we go to the third. Modell's the official sporting goods retailer of the Yankees. And the 3-0. There's a strike. Well, in that second inning, the Yankees had 4 hits, a walk, and 4 runs scored, and Santana threw 38 pitches. And Murphy works a walk. Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Get every Major League Baseball game in HD this season with a DirecTV.
AJ had considerable rest. I don't know how many minutes that was, but and I have to go to David because he was a teammate of mine in '95 with Toronto. And I remember you saying, get out there as quick as you can. You're ready. The umpires see you ready. And I always thought that years later, to get out there and get some extra throws, because now they're so inclined to time between innings, commercials and all that, that there was a period where you couldn't get more than the 8. And I always thought if I had a long wait, I want to get out there and just get a feel. If I can get sneak a couple throws in, I don't know how you felt. But if there was one thing that Santana on the ropes, you mentioned 38 pitches, leadoff walk is a big no-no.
Now Cervelli wants to calm things down with Burnett. He could not have looked better than he did the first 2 innings. And now Gabe Island out to the mound. So they want to set this right away. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees.
Well, you got to get yourself mentally ready. You just sat on the bench for a while. You know that the opposing hitter, after scoring 4 runs, is going to spot you a strike. Maybe the first 2 hitters in that inning, because they want to give Johan Santana time to kind of regroup and catch his breath. You got to just go right down the middle, Powder River. You're going to have that mindset. They're going to spot you strikes. You got to take them. One of the keys, Alan, we talked about this before too, is kind of knowing up and down the order which hitters will spot you strikes. I always knew when I faced Mike Piazza, he was going to give me a strike a lot of the time.
Todd Zeile,
you know which guys are going to take first strikes and which guys are first ball, fastball hitters.
Bernie used to take a lot.
Ground ball, and just off the glove of the diving Teixeira into right field. Murphy's going to go to third. Snyder picks up a single, and the Mets are trying to answer back. They have runners on first and third and nobody out against Burnett.
Well, another 2-1 fastball down and away. Actually, pretty good location, probably even a ball. Snyder trying to take a shot at that hole. He knows with Teixeira holding on the runner that he's just going to take a shot at that hole, even if it's away. And just missed. Look at that range. Teixeira really ranging off the bag. We've seen him come up with a lot of those just over his glove. A nice job by Snyder to try to pull an outside pitch. Now you got first and third and nobody out after having fallen behind 4-0 in the last inning.
Here's Castillo. And the pitch inside.
Well, that was his first curveball of the inning. He got behind, of course, on Murphy and ended up trying to establish the count with Snyder. Of his first 18 pitches in the first 2 innings, he threw 8 off speed, which again really makes AJ Burnett unpredictable and extremely difficult to hit. So now, even though that first pitch curveball was a ball, now that 95, albeit tailing, excellent location, just continue to create the doubt.
Count 2-1. Four nothing Yankees. We're in the top of the third inning. Santana against Burnett. Rubber game of this 3-game set. Fastball just missed outside.
Well, let's take a look. This is a close pitch right here. Jim Wolf, home plate umpire, seeing it on the outside part of the plate. This is a good view right here. Yeah, that's off the plate.
Almost threw that one away. Some managers like to start runners on 3-1. Snyder obviously does not have great speed, but a 3-1 count upcoming to Castillo. There's a strike. Snyder bluffed, didn't go, and the count full.
All right, you got a strikeout pitcher in Burnett and not a fast runner in Snyder. The Mets, you got to be mindful of striking out, throwing out.
Castillo has actually been very good in this situation with runners in scoring position this year, hitting .318 so far with 44 at-bats and 13 RBIs. It's a career .291 hitter.
Just pesky, just exactly with that last foul ball. Foul off a lot of the tough pitches. Makes you throw it over the plate.
And Burnett, his team gets him 4 runs against one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he is poised to give it back as he's loaded the bases with nobody out in the top of the order coming up.
For Joe Girardi, you know, where do you go? You see some little stirring in the Yankee bullpen now.
I mean, but where do you go? They've been so used all week. 2/3 of an inning on Wednesday, 2/3 of an inning on Thursday, or check that on Tuesday, and then 4 by Jabba on Friday and 5 by Andy Pettitte. That's too many innings for a bullpen to work. We talked about this at the open of the show, and those are the last 5 starts. Only Sabathia has given you what you really need. He pitched into the 8th inning, couldn't get an out in the 8th, but everybody else has just sapped the bullpen. So, man, A.J. Burnett has to step up and go deep in this game. Here's Alex Cora, a pesky hitter. And the count 1-0. Cora bid for an extra base hit in the first inning. Robbed by Nick Swisher going back and running into the auxiliary scoreboard. The 1-0. 2-0.
Well, this is similar to what the Mets hitters did with Jabba Chamberlain on Friday night. It was 11 walks, 9 walks and 2 hits batsmen, help creating offense for the opposing team. Jabba had 5 walks in 4 innings on Friday, and Tomko a couple walks, Robertson. It's not what you're trying to do, and it really ends up being a mental thing, because A.J. Burnett's sitting there, he realizes what the hitters just did, and now you're getting behind, and it just starts playing on you. You know what you need to do: throw strikes, getting good counts, bury your breaking ball. Easier said than done sometimes.
The 2-1. Big strike for Burnett. 2-2.
And the Mets bench really giving it to home plate umpire Wolf. As you see, this is borderline. It's on the plate. Maybe they're arguing low because that's got plenty of plate. I've got it at the bottom of the zone.
I concur, Mr. Cole.
But then we are pitchers.
Yeah.
Jose Reyes is not, and he didn't like the call on the DL, but rooting on his team in the dugout. And the 2-2. Check swing, did he go? Yes, he did, said Gary Cederstrom. A big strikeout of Alex Cora.
A.J. Burnett falling behind, down with a fastball. Again, 2-0. Right down the middle, gets it back to 2-1. There's the borderline pitch. He gets the call. Slider down and in. And you get the check swing. We'll get an overhead view. Another borderline call. The Mets certainly are feeling like they just got robbed. Jerry Manuel. First arguing with home plate umpire, now down to the third base umpire.
And the breaking ball is a strike to Fernando Martinez.
Kind of a veteran crew here. Gary Cederstrom down at third base making that call. And of course, we've talked about Jim Wolf behind home plate. Cederstrom's the crew chief.
Well, the whole check swing thing, I mean, the intent to swing. I think pretty much every time a batter gets in the box, he's got an intention to swing.
throughout the course of a game, as you see, he cannot believe that he got called out on that check swing. Alex Cora, that is, right next to Jose Reyes. And there's a lot of borderline calls throughout the course of a game. Rarely do you see back-to-back ones to get a strikeout with the bases loaded and nobody out.
You could sell it too. Catchers are really, they theatrically, hey, he didn't go, and he aggressively point to the respective baseline umpire.
And the 1-1. Did he hold up? No, he did not. On the count 1-2.
Now you get greedy out. You get the bases loaded, nobody out. You get a strikeout. You see that's much further even than the last check swing call. And Jim Wolf says, I'll handle it from here, and he actually makes it right from behind home plate. Now you're going for another strikeout.
No doubt about it. Throw that same pitch.
Swing and a miss, got him. He got greedy and it paid off.
Just nasty breaking stuff. Again, when he could get to that established the whole bat as far as I'm concerned. The first pitch curveball, aggressive curveball, tight spin, emergency hack. This is what A.J. Burnett, when he could get ahead, either establish that first pitch curveball, makes it easier. You don't feel like, where do I go now? Early in this inning, we'll see how it plays out, but he was primarily fastball trying to get in counts.
I couldn't agree more. You kind of hope Chien-Ming Wang's watching this. If you can throw your breaking ball for strikes.
Carlos Beltran swings over a breaking ball.
You can get guys to cheat. Now that you've established you can throw it for a strike, you're going to get more swings like this on pitches out of the zone. So as Beltran reads fastball the whole way. Chien-Ming Wang could really be served well by establishing early in the game. He could throw that breaking ball for strikes. It would take a lot of pressure off of that sinker.
The 0-1. Line drive right at Jeter. Burnett pumped up. Bases loaded, nobody out. And he escapes without allowing a run. Jerry Manuel is none too pleased. Yankees lead 4-0. Today's question is, which was the best Mets team to go to the World Series? You can text your vote to 58772. Standard text messaging rates apply. Was it 69? Was it 73? Was it 86? Outlier circles 2000 because he was on that one.
No chance.
And the pitch to Mark Teixeira is low. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and get like cold sweats about Luis Sojo's single?
I just get sad.
That one's given deep to center field. Beltran's there. I do wonder that. Do you guys like big at bats in your career? Do you think about that every now and then? I mean, do you dream about that stuff? Odell's scoreboard 4-0.
What do you mean, like ball 4 to Doug Strange?
Yeah,
something like that.
Do you dream about that?
No, I don't think about that at all.
No, not at all. Modell's, of course, is the official sporting goods retailer of the Yankees. What's the one that you think about a lot, Al?
The Dimitri Young almost taking my head off to get the Mets into the playoffs in Cincinnati.
What do you mean he almost took your head off?
There was a line drive that went over my head, and Gordo Alfonso caught it because they were playing away pull, and it ended the game.
That was one of the clutch performances of all time. That was a big game for the Mets. And what was a 5-0 shutout? We were all very proud of you, Al.
Thank you.
He's a big game guy. He's a big game pitcher. He doesn't get enough credit for that. The way you pitched in the 2000 Subway Series was tremendous. That's when I was sitting in the bullpen. I couldn't get anybody out.
Oh, you got Mike Piazza out.
I got one guy out. I got Mike out.
Denny Nagel, how do you feel about that one?
Denny Nagel was not happy getting taken out 4 2/3. Nobody on base, 2 outs, and Mike Piazza up, and he had a lead. And Joe
no runs. They're winning 1-0 or 2-0.
No, he'd given up. Mike Piazza had been getting good looks and good swings off of him. Actually took him deep, and then almost twice, once foul and once fair, I believe, in that game. And Joe Torre just did not want to see Mike Piazza facing Denny Nagel again, as we see Johan Santana on the day. 56 pitches.
Swing and a miss. There's that changeup, and A-Rod goes down on strikes, 2 away.
Two pitch, signature changeup, and the thing that made that one so good is it looked like it was right down the middle, and it's got good depth. You see A-Rod reads fastball and is way out in front of that. Missed that by a half a foot, and that's right over the plate, but with depth down, and that's the strikeout pitch.
Here's Cano. Fouled away. Cano started the 4-run second inning with a double to left center field.
Well, I know you mentioned Matt Halladay, who you feel as though is the best pitcher in baseball right now, but you really have to consider Johan Santana. I know this start doesn't really show it. It's not reflective of it. Roy Halladay. Like, man, he's going to get traded at the deadline from the A's to somebody who needs him.
Ground ball to Daniel Murphy. No step on the bag, so Santana recovers with a 1-2-3 inning as the Yankees go down in order. And we go to the 4th inning. It is 4-0 Yankees.
throwing his breaking ball. He got a questionable check swing there. Jerry Manuel did not like that call. Then Martinez up. He established that curveball after getting behind the bottom, and then a beautiful out there line drive to Derek Jeter. Certainly pumped up A.J. Burnett. Should have been creating some offense. He created, the Mets did, by walking some batters.
Big healthy cut by David Wright. We go to the fourth inning. It's 4-0 Yankees. Rubber game of this 3-game set. Wright, Church, and Sheffield. That one goes all the way to the screen.
Well, Michael, down in Philly, as we see David Wright's numbers on the year, down in Philly, you got Josh Beckett, who obviously matched up with A.J. Burnett last time, against J.A. Happ. And, Boston has jumped up 3-1 here in the second inning down in Philly. Rocco Baldelli with a homer, along with Nick Green.
Nick Green's done some job filling in at shortstop.
Happ's a guy they really like. Big draft pick. Phillies, if they can somehow pick up a frontline guy or close to it, it's going to be a tough team in the National League to beat. I know the Dodgers have that offense. And Chad Billingsley.
Ground ball and through for a base hit. And that'll extend Wright's hitting streak to 10 straight. Time for the New York State Smokers Quick Line Quiz. And it involves interleague play. Who are the starting pitchers in the first interleague matchup between the Mets and the Yankees? We'll tell you in the bottom of the fourth inning.
I remember that series so well, Michael. It was the first time we saw Mets fans in Yankee Stadium. It was surreal, and very similar here. There's a lot of Mets fans here over the last couple of days. I wouldn't say evenly split out, but certainly a good representation.
I know why they do it, and certainly in New York, you made in jest, I assume it was, when you said last night the history with the Blue Jays and the Marlins, albeit there's some World Championship in those two respective franchises. But I liked when it was every other year. You know, 1 year at Yankee, 1 year at Shea, back and forth. You know, now with, you know, revenue and the excitement and full house, I get why they do the 6 games, but I thought it was even that much more special.
Well, I think this guy's really become an important piece for the Mets. Obviously, with Carlos Delgado and his hip injury probably out for the year, you need Ryan Church. He's batting 5th today. He's going to have some production. Perceived friction with Jerry Manuel. A lot of media play over whether Jerry Manuel likes this guy or not. And, you know, both of them sort of deny it. And he's healthy again. You know, he's kind of had a concussion problem last year. Think about Ryan Church, you know, that at the end of June, he was out with a concussion, came back for a week, and then left again, and it was out till late August. He missed almost 2.5 months, and really shined a spotlight on baseball's training staffs around the league and sort of their education on concussions. And not a lot of that. You don't see a lot of that in baseball as opposed to football and some other sports. And I think a lot of teams and a lot of training staffs looked around the league at Ryan Church's situation and the problems he had last year and kind of reevaluated how they're going to go about it and how you treat somebody with a concussion and how dangerous it is when they come back, if they come back too soon.
And they're really closely monitoring it, David. You're right. And in the past, you know, somebody would get his bell rung. They didn't call it a concussion. He got his bell rung. He'd have a headache for a couple of days, and he'd just play through it. But there's a danger to it. And then Mike Matheny, who was an outstanding defensive catcher, got knocked out of baseball because of foul tips that kept hitting in the mask when he was catching. So it's becoming a little bit of a problem.
You know, that along with hip injuries this year. You used to see a lot, you know, obviously football is best position training wise to deal with a multitude of injuries. But see A-Rod with his hip injury, Carlos Delgado, Chase Utley, several hips.
Church goes down swinging.
Another good breaking ball by A.J. Burnett there.
Hey, Yankee fans, go to MetLife.com/Yankees for your chance to present the MetLife Player of the Month award on the field at Yankee Stadium. Simply visit MetLife.com/Yankees for official rules There's no purchase necessary, void where prohibited, and sweepstakes sponsor is Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. Here's Gary Sheffield as Joe Girardi looks on. Foul back.
Well, I think you said it, Michael. You know, really, because the training staff and it's become much more scientific and specific, and the fact that they have now instruments and things to detect problems, it really now has created more awareness for injuries. As you say, you know, it used to be just you got your bell rung. Now that, you know, MRIs and CAT scans and everything else. Well, let's face it, I mean, it's, you know, huge, you know, revenue that's generated and the amount of money that's paid to the players. There's also that protective aspect of it, of protecting your asset, which is double-edged, because, you know, at one point, you know, when you felt some pain, I think that's the stuff that's coming out of Texas now that's really, I think, resounding around baseball. Is that, you know, Nolan Ryan just said, he was really probably the only guy that can do it in baseball, say, hey, look, forget this 100 pitch count thing. You know, you got to figure out a way to get through it. You know, how do you learn how to get through that tough 7th inning to go into 8th and maybe complete games if you're always immediately 100 pitches, you know, allowing a guy to pull him out of the game? They do it in the minor leagues with player development. Minor league pitchers don't really know how to get out of the 7th inning, because by the 7th inning you already hit your 100 pitches.
Wild pitch there by A.J. Burnett.
You know, I talked to Nolan Ryan as we're going to get a look at this wild pitch, Al. Just a fastball. So supposed to go in, and he just hits it right off the plate. You see Cervelli's not even ready for it. Those are the toughest ones. The fastballs that land right on home plate. Skip off a home plate, off of his shin guard, and scored a wild pitch. But I talked to Nolan Ryan, actually did an interview with him last year, and he said they're trying to condition their minor leaguers just to give them one more inning. It's not about throw away the pitch counts. He says, I'm not expecting kids to throw 140 pitches, but I do want to condition our minor league guys to at least give me that extra inning, get through 7. You know, if they're not going to, you know, you said the 100 pitch count, you know, certainly he doesn't believe in that, but it's not about the pitch count. It's more about conditioning minor league pitchers to get through 7 innings.
3-1. There's a strike. Top of the 4th here at the stadium. Yankees with 4 runs in the 2nd inning against Santana, lead 4-0. Runner at second, David Wright, Gary Sheffield at the plate. Full count on the Met DH. And Sheffield walks. Now A.J. Burnett today has 3 walks. He has 66 pitches thrown. Now the Yankees have the 2nd most walks in the American League. Now you would say, well, that would translate into a team not doing well, but it shows you that stats sometimes have to be interpreted. The team with the most walks in the major leagues, the Dodgers, and they have the best record in baseball, so it's kind of hard to figure out. Here's Daniel Murphy. Swing and a miss.
Well, you could certainly get away with walks more as a strikeout pitcher as Burnett is. AJ has tallied at least 5 Ks now in 7 of his last 9 starts. He's got 6 so far today. So, you know, if you're a strikeout guy, you can get away with a walk here and there. And you almost sense that with Sheffield swinging a good bat in this series with a couple of homers, that AJ just kind of, I think, go ahead and go after Daniel Murphy right here.
Let's see if they can turn 2. There's 1. On to first, it's a double play. Jeter eludes Sheffield coming in hard, and he's got a big smile looking at his former teammate. But Sheffield tried to take Jeter into left field. Cano feeds to Jeter. Now watch Sheffield. It's clean. He's a little bit off the bag, but Jeter fires to Teixeira for the inning-ending 4-6-3 double play. Did Gary go out of his way? He certainly did. But the double play is made nonetheless. Time for the answer to the New York State Smokers Quit Line quiz. Who were the starting pitchers in the first interleague matchup between the Mets and the Yankees? And the answer is Dave Malicki, who pitched a great game against Andy Pettit. There was an electricity in the ballpark that day.
Malicki probably with the best game of his career. I think he shut us out. Complete game shutout, I believe.
I believe you're right.
Night.
Here's Nick Swisher. Pitches high. Now the final play of the top of the fourth inning, you see the Yankees leading 4-0. Jeter just made an exceptional play to get that ball off the way Sheffield went into it. Sheffield really did go out of the baseline because you have to be able to reach second base, and the way he slid, he was way off of second base, and Jeter still jumped in the air and fired a strike to Teixeira. Outstanding play by the Yankee captain. The 2-0. 2-1.
Well, the thing is, Michael, he just makes it look so easy as well. As you see, Jeter gets the ball and Sheffield slides late, and Jeter hasn't even released the ball before he jumps. You know, and he makes it look so easy, and that was a high degree of difficulty. You know, people talk about Jeter, you know, trying to rate him against other shortstops defensively. As you see Sheffield there coming in old school style, almost Al McRae style against Willie Randolph. Not quite that extreme, but Sheffield's an old school guy. But all the talk about Jeter and his range and defensively and trying to rate shortstops, believe me, Jeter is one of the better shortstops still in the league.
You also wonder whether that call would have been made if Jeter threw the ball away, because Sheffield was definitely out of the baseline. 65 pitches for Santana, 39 strikes. Here's Matsui with a big walk in the second inning. Pitch is high. Well, Dave, your memory is still there. First Subway Series game, Malicki threw a complete game shutout, 9 innings pitched, 9 hits, by the way, 2 walks and 8 strikeouts. And Andy Pettit was the opposing pitcher. Andy Pettit was running off the field today, had a left-handed catcher's mitt. And I said to him, I said, left-handed catcher's mitt, huh? Where'd you get that? He said, the way I'm pitching, I have to think about another position.
So hard, Andy.
He is perennially always been very hard on himself, very much a perfectionist.
And his boys growing up, you want to break in the catcher's mitt in case one of them end up being pitcher.
That one's driven deep to right field. Churchback looking up. See ya! 2-run home run, Hideki Matsui, and the Yankees lead 6-0.
Friday night on his birthday, hit a 3-run homer. Here is 10th home run of the season. Just watching Santana, the ball up, his velocity is not the same. This ball in the inner part of the plate, you see Santana miss his location. Snyder wanting that ball away, and Matsui got all of it. Feeling much better, his legs underneath him. Knees obviously feeling better.
Matsui's second career homer off of Johan Santana.
Now coming in, Matsui was 6 for 18 against Santana. Now that's not owning somebody, but for a guy like Santana, who usually holds the opponents to a 220 average, David, do you know somebody who's like, would you know if a batter is 6 for 18 against you?
Yeah, I doubt if Johan Santana, he probably would maybe know, you know, on the surface of the scouting reports and what hitters have done against him. I doubt if he would put a lot of credence into it.
Would he have a feel, though, that he's hit him better than others?
Well, I think he might. You know, 6 earned runs a day, as you see, that's a season high. Very unusual. I think he might. But, you know, I think with Santana, he still feels like he dictates the pace. He's going to make the hitters react to his good stuff. He's still going to pitch to his strengths. Very much doubt, you know, Santana's got some guts. I don't think he's afraid of anybody.
Line drive, base hit to right center field. Beltran comes up throwing, and Melky hustles it into a double.
That's right out of the box. Santana getting roughed up here. This ball middle of the plate. Nice hitting. Melky staying back. Eyes on the baseball. Nice piece of hitting. Right out of the box, he identifies, hey, this is right center field. I'm going for 2. Obviously, with the 6-0 lead right now, you have much more confidence in that. Beltran, a very good center fielder. 3-time Gold Glover, cuts it off. Chatterbox is saying this is a double all the way.
Well, that's the thing about Melky is even though he's not a speed burner, he is a good base runner. I mean, he knows how to not only bust it out of the box and stretch singles into doubles, but he goes first to third well. Good instincts on the base pass.
Here's Cervelli. Cervelli had such a big hit in the second inning. Really changed the tenor of the game. Santana's about to get out of it. Cervelli somehow gets enough to loop it over Castillo's head. You see Brian Stokes warming up, driving a run and continue it for Jeter to get an RBI and then Damon to get 2 more. Nice piece of hitting by the rookie as he moves the runner over to third and also reaches at first. Santana tries to throw behind Melky. So Murphy ranges far away from the bag, and he has to toss it to Santana, but Cervelli, running hard, gets himself a single.
Well, we'll see here. It's a changeup off the end. You see Murphy just ranging almost in front of Castillo. You know, he's not a first baseman by trade, and that is not the right play. He's got to turn and throw that ball to Santana. You cannot underhand it from that distance. The IOTV HD super shot. Clearly safe. But certainly misplayed by Daniel Murphy, who, as I said before, is not a first baseman by trade.
Well, it's new to him, and you saw how far off the base he was. Castillo was literally standing behind him. That was not his ball to get.
I mean, if you're going to range that far, even if you know, as you said, that was probably an easier play for Castillo. You got to turn and throw that ball overhand.
Pitch to Jeter is low.
I mean, this is just too far. You see Castillo's just camped. He's waiting for it. Murphy aggressive. You cannot flip that ball underhand. It's a 30-40 foot flip underhanded. He's got plenty of time to set and get the ball to Santana quickly so that he can find the bag. He really hung Santana out to dry with an underhand flip.
Hey guys, how about the presence of Mana Santana to just spin and automatically throw to third?
Well, Santana is a good athlete. And you see there Murphy, that's just a lollipop underhand flip. Well, that's a worst nightmare for a pitcher, is to get that kind of a flip. And Santana, presence of mind.
That's not very smart. That's out of frustration too, because watching Cabrera, he wasn't off that far. It's one of those mad balls. You just throw it somewhere.
Hey, the last time Santana gave up 6 earned runs in a game, September 21st of 2007. Now, if you're the Mets, Santana is your guy. He's your pitcher. You almost have to win every single time he pitches because the rest of the rotation is so up in the air. And this is 2 bad starts in a row for him. Now, he won the last one. The Mets won the last one, but he's gotten hit. 4 home runs the last time out. Now he's given up 6 earned runs in 3+ innings. As Jeter swings and misses, 2-2.
It just goes to show you, Michael, it's so unpredictable. You know, you're coming into this series, you looked at this guy, Johan Santana, as the tough draw on Sunday, and the rookie yesterday, who pitched a remarkable game for a rookie in Yankee Stadium. And you just had to figure the Yankees had the edge yesterday, and the Mets perceivably might have the edge today with this guy on the mound. You just never know.
2-2. Hit sharply and off the glove of the diving Cora, and it trickles in the left. Third base hit for Jeter. Scoring is Melky, and it's 7-0 Yankees. Now you might wonder, when was the last time Santana gave up 7 earned runs? You have to go back to 2005, May 17th, when he was with Minnesota against Toronto. On this one, a base hit by Jeter scored the 7th run, and that's going to do it for Santana. And the Yankee fans really giving it to Johan Santana as he walks slowly to the Met dugout. Runners on first and second, his responsibility. It is 7-0 Yankees. Santana's day is over. Stadium, the Yankees in the fourth inning, 9 runs on 8 hits. They do not strand a runner because Melky got thrown out trying to stretch it into a triple. So the Yankees now have a commanding 13-0 lead. So A.J. Burnett's been on the bench for a while, but he'll take it. The Lexus scoreboard 13-13-0, 0-2-0. And there's a strike to Schneider. 13-0. Do you just go out there and pump fastballs?
Early in the count, yes. No, but you still have to pitch. But you're mindful of the fact that you have a huge lead. You certainly don't want to get cute, start walking guys or getting bad counts because of your off-speed pitch. But I don't know a pitcher alive that wouldn't take a 9 spot in an inning, have a 13-0 lead going into the 5th.
That is a high pitch count, Al. That's like one of your games. 900.
Now, why do you have to go there?
Just have fun.
479 strikes, though.
They fouled a lot of balls off. What can I tell you?
13-13. Isn't that where the Munsters live? 13-13 Mockingbird Lane.
It's good.
That's pretty good there, Michael. I was watching Rocky and Bullwinkle. You know, I didn't. A little bit of Munsters. Munsters were good too.
Hot shot to first. One away. I would think you were a Lily guy.
Cousin it.
It's true. Lily was good. So was Nastasha on Rocky and Bullwinkle. That accent gets me every time, Mike.
But it was a cartoon, David.
I was a kid.
Now, before the game, a little bit of extracurricular activity. Just to recap, Brian Bruni said some things about Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod. And Bruni, the Yankee reliever, said about losing on Friday, the Mets, how they lost with Castillo's drop. Couldn't have happened to a better guy on the mound either. He's got a tired act. He gets what he deserves, man. I just don't like watching the guy pitch. I think it's embarrassing. And then it became a back and forth. He said, she said, and K-Rod said, who's Brian Bruni? Why doesn't he come up and say it to me? Well, the two of them kind of got together in the outfield before the game during batting practice, and it looked as if K-Rod was doing most of the talking, heatedly talking toward Brian Bruni. Now K-Rod's smiling right now, but this is what transpired before the game. You see they're bill to bill. Bruni's not saying much. He's certainly not backing away. Then Jose Vera steps in the middle, and K-Rod still wants to give a piece of his mind to Brian Bruni. And this goes on, I'd say, for about a minute as Castillo slaps one to A-Rod. 2 away. And at that point, Dave Island comes in, the Yankee pitching coach, and tells Bruni, all right, let's go back to the dugout, because he didn't want it to escalate. You guys have any thoughts on this?
Well, I think that as a player, you're a fan and you observe all the different players in the league. You admire some and you don't, less have an opinion for others. I just think it's better to just, not say anything. Keep your opinion to yourself. Everybody has their viewpoint, and that's what Brian Bruni feels about what he sees with Francisco Rodriguez. And, I think you're better off not saying anything, bottom line.
David?
I don't like any of it. I'm old school. I think that if you got something to say to somebody, and we saw this earlier in the year with Big Papi talking about Jabba, no nonsense, delivering a message through the press. You got plenty of chances to say anything you want to anybody on the field, from the dugout. Big Papi on the on-deck circle could scream out at Jabba and let him know what his opinion is. He doesn't have to go through the media. I feel the same way with Brian Bruni. If you've got a chance, if you want to say something to K-Rod, you're going to have a chance to say it. When you're in the game, when you're in the dugout and K-Rod's on the mound, you can certainly express your opinion. I'd rather see all that stuff handled on the field. And I know I'm a little bit old school in the bench jockeying era, but I really feel that players should handle that by themselves on the field.
Alex Cora checks his swing. The ball went all the way to the backstop. Cora did not run. He did not like the call from Jim Wolf. So a 1-2-3 inning for Burnett. Will continue his discussion when we get back. It's by J&R Music and Computer World, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later on. As we go to the bottom of the 5th inning, it's 13-0. The Yankees lead, and Francisco Cervelli will lead off. Pitch is outside, 1-0. Cervelli 2 for 2. And now he's 3 for 3. He has really been surprising with the bat. Consider they called him up from Double-A and he was hitting under 200 at Double-A, and he has been such a pleasant surprise for the Yankees. This is how the top of the 5th ended. And Jim Wolf said you went around, and Cora has not liked Wolf's calls at all, and Cora did not run, tagged out very gently by Cervelli. And that's not like Cora, who's really a heads-up, hard-nosed player, would not run to first base.
Well, he was upset earlier with Gary Cederstrom and check swing. Same thing. There's some questionable calls as far as the Mets are concerned. But still, if you have an issue, you run it out. Maybe he's safe, and you come back and you express your concern to Jim Wolf later on.
Lexus scoreboard, 13-0 Yankees, all Yankees. I got to tell you guys something, and I don't mean this as an insult at all, but I just walked past the SNY booth where, you know, the Met broadcasters are doing the game, and their hygiene is better than you guys. Keith Hernandez just brushing his teeth in the middle of a game. I never see you guys do that. Line into center field, a base hit as Jeter is 4 for 4. It's just the 5th inning.
It's a baseball field, Michael, not a dentist office.
I asked Keith, I said, this is rare, you know, brushing the teeth in the middle of the game.
That's elbow inside, pulling it in to get the barrel of the bat on the baseball. Just so locked in. Often Yankee fans see Derek Jeter with that swing. Beautiful.
There's Johnny Damon. They're striking. Keith said, you know, I drink coffee during the game. I don't like to have it on my breath, so I will brush my teeth. I think that's outstanding hygiene.
What, you got Pepsi on your breath?
Yes, I do today. But I'm just matching you guys up with Darling and Hernandez. I'm sure I have better breath than Gary Cohn. That's what we're doing. We're trying to match up here.
So you're telling me you brush your teeth after 5 hours of radio before you come on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got it. Foul back.
Jeter has a season high 4 hits. You almost saw him low flying out of the box there. He's really feeling it. His 4th hit there, you know, well, you can tell when guys get that hit, it comes off the bat, and you see him kind of low fly out of the box and go to first base. Got a little bounce in his step.
Fouled away. Nice catch by a fan in the first row. Good seat, now a souvenir to go with it. And the 0-2. 1-2.
You see games like this, it's definitely contagious. Obviously, you wouldn't have 15 hits, 13 runs. The only 2 that aren't part of the hit parade, Swisher and A-Rod. When you pad it a little bit, you come into a game, you know you're facing a great pitcher in Santana. You figured out any way to scratch a run. Mentioned Swisher early in the game. He tried to do a little sacrifice bunt to move Cano over in the 2nd inning. Ended up getting a sac fly out of it. Who would have thought here, 5th inning, they'd be up by 13 runs.
And a count 2-2.
I mentioned Nick Johnson, the former Yankee first baseman, earlier, Michael. He's 2 for 3 today. Washington down in Tampa Bay. Got the jump on him, 4-2 in the bottom of the 5th. Nick Johnson now hitting .318 on the year.
The Yankees will see Nick Johnson as these Nationals come in Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as Damon goes down looking. Today, after the postgame, stay with Yes for WB Mason presents the Joe Girardi Show as the skipper sits down to recap this vital rivalry week against the Red Sox and the Mets. And after that, don't miss Yankees on Deck. It's all today after the postgame. It's only on Yes. There's a strike to Teixeira. Bottom of the fifth inning, 13-0 Yankees. They came into the game having trouble hitting with runners in scoring position. 10 for their last 74. That's 135, but they've hit plenty today. Grounded foul outside of first. You would think it's got to be tough for a pitcher like Stokes. Any pitcher, you're pitching in a game that doesn't look like it has any chance to be won, but you've got to take a bullet for the team.
And you know, the relievers, it's such a tight-knit group. Those guys, they sit together, obviously out in the bullpen all year. But, you know, he knows that. That's a good point, Michael, that, you know, how can I get as deep into the game as possible to use the least amount of arms down there? Even though both respective teams have a day off tomorrow, the Mets go to Baltimore.
It's tough. It's a team game, but also you don't want to see your stats get ruined with one bad outing. But it's part of being in the bullpen.
And it's appreciated, too. After the game, you know, as you say, you're in a lopsided game. All you're thinking about is throwing up zeros. Obviously, there's an ERA involved. It looks to this point that it's majorly out of hand right now as far as the Mets. We're looking at 13-0 halfway through the game.
Teixeira continuing to battle. He's 1 for 3 today.
Speaking of struggling pitchers, Dontrelle Willis trying to work his way back into the Detroit rotation is struggling again today against former Yankee Ross Ollendorf. Detroit matching up against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh down 4-1. Dontrelle gave up 3 runs the first inning. Ross Ollendorf going for his 6th win for the Pirates.
Yankees 8 for 12 today with runners in scoring position. Now 8 for 13 as Teixeira goes down on strikes. Yankees baseball on Yes is brought to you in part by J&R Music and Computer World, and by Toyota, the official hybrid vehicle of the New York Yankees.
You mentioned about Dontrelle Willis. You talk about anxiety and, you know, guys mentally being positive and got sent down. Big sign, big trade, him along with Miguel Cabrera over to the Tigers. I think the Tigers have been the biggest surprise. Complete turnaround.
A-Rod hits one deep to right center field. Beltran back, still back, and right on the lip of the warning track, he puts it away for the final out of the 5th. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. We go to the 6th, 13-0 Yankees. from the original Yankee Stadium seats and other memorabilia now on sale at Yankees.com. All memorabilia comes with a Yankee Steiner letter of authenticity. And for more information and to purchase original Yankee Stadium seats and other memorabilia, visit Yankees.com today and click the Shop tab. Here's Fernando Martinez, 13-0 Yankees. Foul back. They give Ramiro Pena a chance at third base as Alex Rodriguez gets the rest of the night off. Count 1-1. Martinez 0 for 2. Skied out to left center field. Coming on Damon, and he makes the play on the run. One away.
So far, Fernando Martinez just looks overmatched. 20 years old. Say the premier prospect of the Mets organization. Nice play, Johnny Damon coming across the left center field. They got the series in Baltimore. There's going to be an opportunity for Jerry Manuel to continue with the designated hitter, but they're going to have a decision to make on that young man.
Here's Beltran. He is 0 for 2. Count 1-0. Burnett's pitching a 2-hitter through 5 1/3, holding the Mets to no runs. And there's a third base hit as Beltran picks up his first hit of the afternoon.
You mentioned earlier, Michael, you know, do you pitch differently? And I like the fact that A.J. Burnett, he's taken this start, even though there's a huge lead, very comfortable, certainly at this point. Starting off Beltran with a curveball, threw a changeup to Fernando Martinez. You still got to use your pitches, and certainly not to too deep in bad counts to put you in what ends up being dumb as far as, you know, curveball, changeup to get in the 3-0 count. Wouldn't do that. This isn't just a matter of here it is, hit it every single pitch.
And there's a strike to David Wright. Wright with a single to right in the 4th inning extended his hitting streak to 10 straight.
A.J. Burnett throwing about 70% fastballs today so far in this game. A couple of change-ups, kind of a power change-up. I'd like to see more of that. I think that pitch could really help him out, even though he doesn't have a true straight change, but he does feature a third pitch change-up, predominantly a 2-pitch pitcher. Fastball, knuckle curve. Today about 70% fastballs.
You know, this is the type of game, without getting hurt because of it, to use your 3rd and 4th pitch. Bring it out. Double up with it. You know, if you know you're primarily fastball curveball, as A.J. Burnett is, you know, you're going to need that 3rd and 4th pitch. You know, in that tight game, that 3-2 game or 2-1 game here in the 6th inning. You know, play that little mind game here. This is a comfortable situation for A.J. Burnett to be in mentally. Matter of getting outs, and not every pitch is of pressure, consequence, forcing it.
Count 2-2.
Did you take it as an opportunity to either, I don't like to use work on it because it's in a major league game, and, you know, obviously it matters, but, you know, to maybe bring out a pitch or two that you didn't feel comfortable in a few previous starts?
Well, I completely agree. It is the time, especially against a left-handed batter today, for A.J. Burnett to maybe break out that little changeup that he features and try to get a feel for it and work on it. And certainly a 13-to-run lead, you don't want to start running deep counts and walking guys, but I did see it as an opportunity to maybe experiment with your 3rd or 4th pitch. Maybe not in this situation. 3-2 with David Wright, a right-handed batter, and a good one, obviously, with David Wright.
Still 3-2.
Burnett's velocity's been very consistent today. 94, 95 miles an hour all day. His curveball's about 83 miles an hour. He could use a third pitch on those days that we've seen him struggle, especially if he can't get his breaking ball over. Then he's reduced to just kind of trying to spot his fastball. So third pitch would be a good thing to work on and a good thing for him going forward to have.
3-2. And he is out looking, and Wright cannot believe the call. He was taking a step toward first base, and the Mets have not really enjoyed Jim Wolf's strike zone or his strike calling.
Well, let's take a look at it. This is a little comeback fastball. It certainly had the plate coverage. Almost middle of the plate. David Wright just saw that pitch is down.
And now Jerry Manuel has been thrown out. He's been barking at Wolf for most of the game. So Wright gets in, or should I say Manuel gets in. A couple of final words. And his day is done.
And rightly so. I mean, I think the Mets bench and Jerry Manuel in particular have felt like several calls have gone against them, namely a couple of check swings and key situations when the Mets had the bases loaded and nobody out earlier in this game. Protecting his hitter, David Wright. Certainly the right thing to do right there by Jerry Manuel.
Brian Church fouls it away.
Get a look on the height. We know Al said it definitely got the plate. You can see that is right almost in the hollow of the middle of the kneecap on his front knee, maybe just below, certainly borderline. I think the fact that Cervelli dropped that ball, he kind of clanked it, made it look worse than it actually was. But
that one is fisted into center field. Coming on is Melky Cabrera, and he'll put it away for the final out of a scoreless 6th inning. One man left. The best Mets team to go to the World Series. You've been voting at 58-7-7-2. And here are the results. 50% say it was 1986. 30% say it was 69. 18%, as Al's been texting furiously all game, thought it was the 2000 series. And 1973 series got 2%. Kind of an interesting poll to ask Yankee fans pretty much what they thought was the best Mets World Series team.
I thought 73 would get a little higher on that. Buddy Harrelson and Pete Rose, a little altercation at second in NLCS.
New pitcher is John Switzer, and inauspicious debut with the Mets when he gave up the 3-run home run to Matsui on Friday. 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, and that was a home run. Deep drive center field, and that's going to fall in over the head of Jeremy Reed. And you can see that Cano's starting to swing the bat a lot better as he leads off with a double.
And I think what you just said, Michael, is so true for all hitters. Ball is middle up, inner half, but nice hitting. That first at bat when he went the other way with the double in the second inning really set up that home run in his previous at bat here, the double. Now in the center field, he is feeling good. Important for him to use the whole field as most hitters, but he is that kind of 300-plus hitter. Watch him keeping his hands back. He worked a lot with Kevin Long in this winter. Kevin Long going down to the Dominican Republic. You mentioned earlier about Johnny Damon struggling a little bit with the home runs being so prevalent here, especially right field. It's easy, especially for the left-handers, to get pull happy.
And there's a strike to Nick Swisher, and maybe switched across Snyder because he quickly came out to talk with him.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of balls jump to center field this year, too. A lot of one-hoppers, line drives up the wall to center, too. And I know I talked to Mariano Rivera, who shags in batting practice every day, and he said he thought the ball was really carrying to center field as well as right this year.
Could not hold up on that one. The count is 0-2. And the pitch outside, 1-2. This Cano's first 3-hit game since May 21st. And that was against the Orioles. He had been a little bit of a slide coming into this game, 3 for his last 19, but he's 3 for 4 today. Count 2-2.
Swisher just 3 of his 12 home runs batting right-handed. Obviously gets more at bats left-handed. 49 at bats versus lefties this year. 3 home runs batting .245.
Switzer to Swisher, and that's a high fly ball left field. Fernando Martinez will make the play. 1 away. Let's check things out. An update from Bob Lorenz in the Yes Network studios. Bob? So Josh Beckett goes yard. Now he has some hitting experience since he began in the National League. Now, you began in the American League, David, and then coming over to the Mets. Was it difficult to hit?
I loved it. As a young pitcher, I loved taking batting practice every day and get a little pitcher's game going, a little friendly competition.
Oh, you know, I'm not surprised at all. I played with Josh in Florida with the Marlins. It was Beckett. A.J. Burnett can hit, too. He's got a good swing. And Dontrell Willis is as good as any hitting pitcher I've ever seen. And boy, did they have a good time. As you say, the pitchers get to hit in the National League every day before the regular players come out.
Now, one of the more fascinating pitchers' stories with hitting that I've ever heard involves Al. Al started his career with the Yankees, then was with the Blue Jays. And the first time you ever hit was in the World Series, right?
First time I ever stood in the batter's box since high school was the World Series.
And you got a triple, a double.
Double left field off of Roger Mason. First pitch, I used Ed Sprague's bat, Olerud's helmet, and Ricky Henderson's batting gloves. I forgot I had to hit, and I was in the bullpen. I wasn't starting. Todd Stottlemyre started that game, and we got peppered. We ended up winning the game like 15-14. I'm sitting on the bench. They said, "You're up next." I said, "I'm up next." There was no interleague play, so the American League teams, you never, other than spring training, but even then, for some reason, I don't remember ever hitting in spring training.
Now, not to disparage, I mean, did you just close your eyes and swing pretty much? I mean, you've never hit since high school, and you're in the World Series.
But the eye part was not. Yeah, I kept my eyes open. It was complete luck. Absolutely. I remember hitting a double, and John Kruk, who hadn't had too many hits at that time, his trailer. And is it this easy? No.
Hot shot to first base. Murphy fields the ball and flips to Switzer. And they're two away as Cano moves to third. Yankees Baseball on Yes is brought to you by your tri-state area Audi dealers. Audi, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Yankees. Al, do you realize that that double that you had in your first at-bat was the only hit you had in the postseason? 1 for 17.
Had 17 at-bats?
No, you pitched a lot in the postseason. That's why you have 3 World Series rings.
I did have one in Game 5. Andy Pettitte was pitching a little number. I bunted to first base because Martinez was playing back, Tino. And there was a little bobble from Pettitte, but I would have beat it out anyway.
Right back to the mound.
There.
And Switzer to Murphy, and that'll do it. So the leadoff double by Cano is wasted. No runs a hit, no errors. 1 man left on base. We go to the 7th. It's 13-0 Yankees. System from the same people who bring us our office supplies. WB Mason. Who but? A lot of Yankees getting the rest of the day off. A-Rod's already in the Yankee clubhouse. Now Derek Jeter will join him as the Yankees lead 13-0. Angel Baroa is at third base. Ramiro Pena, who was at third last inning, now moves to short for Jeter. Teixeira is gone. As Swisher moves from right to first. Melky Cabrera moves to right field. And Brett Gardner takes over in center. And that's a strike to Sheffield, who does not like that call. And there's Brett Gardner. And Melky's in right.
That was A.J. Burnett's 97th pitch of the day. Probably his last inning right here.
The 0-1. Foul back.
Although, well, I guess it's possible if he has a quick one, Joe Girardi might run him back out there for the 8th. A.J. Burnett, not a pitch count guy. He, along with CC Sabathia, can certainly go up to the 120, 125 range.
Well, in a game like this, you look for your guys in the pen that could use some work. And I don't think that's really necessary for the Yankees right now, giving them an opportunity to maybe just go to one guy. Coke pitched 2 days ago, Salas yesterday.
Now, Jose Veras got a haircut. That one is chopped right back to the mound. Barehanded by Burnett, fires to first, and it gets past Swisher and goes into foul territory down the right field line as Sheffield moves to second. That should be a hit and then an E1, allowing Sheffield to move to second. And that's the way they score it.
You see Sheffield right down off a home plate. That's the highest bounce when it comes down off a rubber. And Burnett, really the only chance is to barehand that. But then goes back to the glove, a little Laredo, a little sinking, tailing action away from Nick Swisher. Would have taken a perfect play to get even Gary Sheffield at this point in his career.
There's Daniel Murphy. There's a strike.
Speaking of hitting pitchers, Michael, I think the Yankees have one guy that's head and shoulders above anybody else. That's CC Sabathia. Career, a .261 hitter with 3 home runs.
Edmund Dontrell out there in Oakland.
That's all CC Sabathia, and the Yankees pitchers have been taking batting practice because obviously they're going to be playing in some National League parks coming up. And Sabathia was regularly going to the second deck here in right field at Yankee Stadium.
Now, talking about going to some National League parks, this is a big complaint for Joe Girardi. And you know what? It is somewhat legitimate. Starting next Friday, when they play 3 games against the Marlins in Florida, they'll have 3 against the Marlins, 3 against the Braves in Atlanta, 3 against the Mets at Citi Field. That will be 9 straight games where they do not have a DH, which is a big component of American League team. And their pitchers are going to have to hit 9 straight games. And Girardi said that's a quirk in the interleague schedule. That's really not that fair.
What, that it's 9 consecutive?
9 consecutive.
Okay, because everybody's playing the same amount of interleague.
But 9 consecutive is what gets in. He said that you would take an important component out of some of these lineup for 9 straight games. And there's always been a debate, and it's an interesting debate. Who's at more of a disadvantage?
American League.
Now, here's the flip side, though, Al. Some people say, you look at the way National League teams are built, they don't really have a DH. They have, you know, bit parts that come in different situations. They don't really have that power hitter DH when they're in American League cities.
True, but there are teams that they don't build around a DH, but they put a lot of money into a designated hitter that's an integral part of their middle of the lineup. And in many cases, because they can't play defense for arm reasons or just lack of range, you know, they don't know where to put him. And I keep going to Paul Molitor in the latter part of his career. You know, he couldn't play in the field, really. They tried him at first a little bit. His arm was shot.
And there are some baseball purists that go, you know what, then those players should be done. Then there shouldn't be a DH. If you can't play in the field, you shouldn't be able to play. But it would rob you of a David Ortiz. It would rob you of a Paul Molitor. But it's a great debate.
Yeah, I'm torn on that because I think there are special players, and there's a handful maybe over, you know, a decade or so that, you know, fans get an opportunity to see that future Hall of Famer play that one last year or two because of some of their skills have lessened, whether it be their legs or arm.
But the interesting thing about Molitor, as Murphy walks, would he be a Hall of Famer if he didn't have all those years as a DH? If he couldn't play in the field because his arm was shot, would he in fact be a Hall of Famer?
Where's Edgar Martinez in this?
Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Get every Major League Baseball game in HD this season with DirecTV. Yeah, you're right. Edgar Martinez is a great example of that. I mean, an unbelievable guy to watch hit, but he couldn't play in the field.
You like the American League brand?
You know what? I love baseball. It doesn't matter, DH or no DH. I think it's a completely different game. It's like, well, what do you like, strawberries or apples? It's completely different fruit, but you like them both. I like both. I really do. I see the National League side, and I like the American League side as well.
So I think the Mets really had an advantage coming in because they had Gary Sheffield, the DH, in the series, and he's burned the Yankees. Very few National League teams have a guy like that, but Gary Sheffield really is a DH. That's why Detroit really traded him, really let him go and ate the contract, because they did not think, Jim Leyland, the manager of the Tigers, did not think Gary Sheffield could play the outfield. And the Mets obviously took a chance, and a real break for the Mets to get Gary Sheffield in the DH hole in this series.
The 0-1.
And the irony of that, and I talked to Sheff about it, was that when he became a free agent, the majority of the teams that showed interest were National League teams. Other than Tampa, where he lives down in Florida, he said, here I'm supposedly not able to play every day, and the National League teams were the most interested. The Mets, Cincinnati having the most interest.
High fly ball right field. Cabrera is back. Makes the catch. Sheffield just bluffs. Throw comes all the way into third. All right, now if you could both push a button, would you push a button that there's baseball with a DH or without?
It's easy for me, Michael, without. I love I just like the National League way. I do. I think the strategy involved of you get to use all of your players more on a daily basis. It's more of the complete team, the mix it and matching.
You know, I think it's interesting that the debate is always one-sided, Michael. It's always about get rid of the DH. And in actuality, maybe we should spend more time talking about adding the DH to the National League. And I know that the purists would probably knock me for that, and rightly so. And I sort of agree with Al earlier in my career.
There's a ground ball up the middle, grabbed by Pena. There's one on to first. What a double play. 6-4-3 double play as Ramiro Pena flashes the leather to end the inning. Jeremy Reed with a hot shot up the middle, but Pena to the glove side, and then the flip to Cano. He bare hands and fires to first for the 6-4-3 double play. And A.J. Burnett thought he'd given up an RBI single and sees that he got an inning-ending double play. No runs a hit, and one man left at the end of 6.5. In the second, 9 runs in the fourth. They scored 9 earned runs off Johan Santana, the first time he's ever allowed that many earned runs in his career. And they lead 13-0 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. John Switzer pitched a scoreless 6th, and he will face 9-1-2 in the Yankee order. That's Cervelli, Baroa, and Damon. Full house, well, close to a full house here at Yankee Stadium. Pitches outside. That was, I mean, it's easy to forget because it's a 13-0 game. That was some double play that the Yankees just turned. Great range up the middle by Pena, and the flip and the barehanded grab by Cano. 6-4-3, and Burnett still has a 0 next to his name for earned runs.
Talk about it all the time, pitcher's best friend, but for Burnett, end of his day to watch that.
Francisco Cervelli skies one to right field, and Church makes the catch. Let's take a look at that double play.
Pena to slick field and shortstop as he is. Nice little grab by Cano. What strength, arm strength too. That's not easy. He's falling back. Watch Cano. He doesn't get really a good base on his lower half, but still the tremendous arm strength. Came up as a third baseman.
It's one of the things about Cano is some people give him a rap for being a little lackadaisical out there, but he's just smooth with his hands a lot of time. You see that play right there, it's effortless. And sometimes the lackadaisicalness is mistaken, because he does have great hands and great ability around the bag to turn it. Bare hand flip. Very smooth with his hands.
Well, you know what? There's a perfect look right there for a guy who's smiling and always seems to have a good time. If you don't get the job done, they could say, well, geez, he's lackadaisical. He's not concentrating. His head's not in the game. But if that's his way of playing, do you want to stifle that and not allow him to just be who he is?
Baroa fouls it back.
But just to finish our point from last inning, Michael, about the DH, and I made a comment about maybe we should argue about, all the talk is about eliminating the DH, and we never have the argument about adding the DH to the National League, which will never happen, obviously. But my point is early in my career, when I was with the Mets, I really enjoyed hitting. I was a purist National League guy. I loved the strategy, but I really saw the pitcher hitting in the 9th hole really affects 2 slots, the 8-hitter and the 9-hitter, and a lot of times that 8-hole hitter is kind of diminished because the pitcher batting behind him. 8-hole hitter gets pitched around.
And Baroa gets plunked.
But later in my career, when I came to the American League, I kind of sensed that I like the DH. I like the fact that guys like Paul Molitor got a chance to extend their careers. George Brett with the Royals got to do that later. So I almost switched my views on it. I could see both sides of the argument. I know the National League purists will never give in, and probably rightly so. But it is a great debate.
And the thing is, and let's be honest, there's a monetary aspect to it as well. You'll never get the same rule in both leagues. There's no way the Players Association would ever allow a rule change to eliminate the DH because it's a high-paying position, and the owners will never allow a DH in the National League because that would be adding a high-paying position. And I think it's going to stay like this forever. I really do. I don't think it's ever going to change. And the National League's the only league, professional league, I think, left that does not have a DH.
And you know what? It's probably good for the game. The debate, the controversy it creates is probably good because it gets people talking about it. In some ways, controversy is good for the game in some instances.
Well, you know what, Mike? I don't necessarily completely agree with the money aspect of a designated hitter being added, because if you look at team payroll, there's just as many in the top 10 team payroll that's in the National League. They just spend it somewhere else, whether it's on another starter or some other player. I mean, that has been, a designated hitter is a high-paying position, but if you look at the NL payrolls, they're in the top 10. I'd have to look at it, but I'm sure it's probably pretty close to even.
Well, the top 2 payrolls are the Yankees and the Red Sox. The Tigers are up there. So the Mets,
Phillies, Dodgers, Cubs.
As Johnny Damon works a walk.
Although Jim Lillard made one point about I said about the American League. He was always National League with the Pirates, the Marlins, and then the Rockies. And he said he would argue that it was harder for pitching change reasons because in the National League, you kind of knew what was going to happen based on the offense or what was needed was forced out. In the American League, a lot of times you take a guy out based on what you see, not necessarily always pitch count.
Buck Showalter made that point too.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that, David. Showalter said it's so much harder to manage in the American League because pitching is the biggest thing a manager has to do, and you've got to judge. You know, sometimes if it's time to pinch hit, well, that makes your decision for you.
Yeah, you're forced.
Right, but otherwise, you got to sit there and you got to evaluate: is he too high pitch count? Is he being ineffective right now? You know, people talk about the double switches. I remember something Tom Kelly told me when I was a writer in '87 covering that World Series. He kept being peppered with questions. How about the double switch? How about the double switch? How are you going to do it? You've never done it. Tom Kelly, the manager of the Twins then. And he said, you know what? It's really not brain surgery. It's not that hard to double switch. And that's what everybody says was so hard to manage in the National League because of that. Brett Gardner takes a strike. And the count 1-2.
That was kind of the ongoing joke that whenever we faced Tony La Russa, you know, when he was managing in Oakland and then with the Cardinals, was nobody pays to come to the ballpark to see a manager double switch. It's certainly strategically a part of the game, but it's not something where the fans are sitting in the stands getting excited about double switches.
And that's also then almost answers our question about the DH. How many fans come to see a pitcher hit and to see the strategy? They come to see runs, and the DH gives you more runs. The 2-2 missed outside, 3-2. But David, you're right. Anytime that you can start a discussion and have people be passionate about something is good for the game. No DH pitching, double switches, all that stuff. It's great. If you can argue, that means you care. 3-2. Popped up and out of play. This is Gardner's first at bat. And he works a walk. Yankees still being patient. With a 13-0 lead, they've loaded the bases, hit by pitch, and 2 walks. Hey, fans, don't miss the Emmy Award-winning W.B. Mason postgame to get Subway Series highlights from this set against the Mets and a look around the majors. Plus, get the reaction from the clubhouse with Kimberly Jones. It's the W.B. Mason postgame after the final out right here on Yes. Here's Ramiro Pena. How many times does this guy make a great play in the field and then come up with the bases loaded the next inning? Hot shot up the middle, off the bag, and it couldn't be handled by Cora. Baroa scores at 14-0 Yankees. Pena lost an RBI because that heat-seeking missile hit the bag.
Let's see if it gets Switzer. This, I don't know if it hit him, but it hits the bag. Joey Cora in position to go out and take a cutoff from the center fielder. Perfectly on the corner. Had Cora been aware of that, obviously you're not expecting it to hit the bag. So it looks like a double hit here. Let's see this. May have nicked him a little. That ball was scolded.
Well, Sandy Alomar Sr., who is managing the Mets after Jerry Manuel got thrown out, comes out to the mound. Little trivia question. You could always use this at parties, and it's a great trivia question if you're a Yankee fan. Who was on deck when Chris Chambliss hit the home run in 1976 against Mark Littell to send the Yankees to the World Series? And the answer is that man, Sandy Alomar Sr. Not many people know that because they switched batters and they made some moves, Billy Martin did, and Alomar ended up hitting behind Chambliss. Well, Alomar ends up going to the bullpen. Switzer is going to the bench. We'll be back. Yankees have the bases loaded. They also have a 14-0 lead. 14-0 Yankees lead. Bases are loaded. One man out, and Ken Takahashi is on a relief of John Switzer. And Takahashi deals outside 1-0. Those are the numbers. In 13 games, 15 hits and 15 in the third innings, 11 strikeouts, 7 walks. One of the reasons they brought up Switzer was they had lost some confidence in Takahashi and his ability to get out left-handers. Now Cano hit his 11th home run in the 4th inning. That's significant because he didn't hit his 11th home run last year until August 22nd. So well ahead of that pace. 3 for 4 today. 2 doubles and a home run. 2 runs scored. High fly ball, deep right center, going back Reed, and he'll make the play on the track. Tagging is Damon, and he'll score easily. It's a sac fly for Robinson Cano, and it's a 15-0 Yankee lead. Time now to take a look at the Land Rover drive of the game. It wasn't Cano, but it was
Hideki Matsui in that big inning that the Yankees ended up getting 9 runs in the 4th. This was a 2-run homer off of Johan Santana that started that inning. The 10th home run of the year for Matsui. 9 runs in the 4th inning, and that was a Land Rover drive of the game.
$15-0. Pitch to Nick Swisher. Outside, just to complete the thought on the DH, there is a league in Japan that also does not have the DH, but every minor league uses the DH. Every other professional league, independent ball, high schools, colleges, they all use the DH. So there's only 2 leagues that have the pitchers hit, the National League and one of the leagues in Japan. It's the Pacific League that doesn't use the DH in Japan. Pitch outside, 3-0.
Well, I think I would feel differently if I wasn't a pitcher. I could see, Michael, the attraction to home runs and a lot of runs scored. It's just the traditional side of enjoying a 3-2 game or 2-1 game. Watching the strategy, the cat and mouse scenario, the hitter, pitcher, umpire. So much goes into that aspect of the game. It really is the game as to whether a pitcher has got the ability to execute a pitch to exploit a hitter's weakness.
Along with Al Leiter and David Cohn, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball right here on Yes. We thank you for joining us on this Sunday afternoon. 15-0 Yanks over the Mets. Rubber game of this 3-game set. Hot shot, foul ball. Now, David, you hit a home run, right?
No.
And Al, you didn't either, right?
Not even close.
You got a triple once.
I got a triple, a couple balls to the warning track. And I hit 4 home runs in batting practice.
And did you ever come close, David?
In batting practice, I hit one in the upper deck at Candlestick Park.
Really?
I was pretending it was Candlestick Park. The old wiffle ball games in the Cohn household in the backyard. We'll keep track. Yeah, that shows you what kind of hitters we are. We're talking about batting practice home runs.
3-2, runners go, and a soft ground ball to short. Cora across the diamond, and that will do it. But the Yankees get 2 more runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left on base. Let's take this baby to the 8th inning. It's 15-0 Yanks. other way across those bridges to Citi Field for this. Hey, fans, today and throughout the Yankee season on Yes, we're allowing you to vote along with the three of us here in the booth for the Chevy Player of the Game. Text your vote to 58772. Today's candidates are A.J. Burnett, Robinson Cano, Johnny Damon, and Derek Jeter. Vote now. Make your voice heard. Standard text messaging rates apply. David Robertson on in relief of A.J. Burnett, and he deals a strike to Alex Cora. Amongst the cornfields of the world, Field of Dreams gives us a 15-0 Yankee lead.
Where is that?
Out in the outfield by the bleachers, above all the signage, there's grass that they have, little plants. The 1-1 popped up. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Angel Barroa, one away.
Looks like the rough of Bet Page this year for the U.S. Open.
About it, you going?
They'll be hacking out of that.
The black.
Look at that. It's right around the green right there. You just missed the green at Bet Page out of Long Island. That's what you got right there. So Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson back in town. Tiger Woods out of Bet Page.
See Robertson's numbers. I think you have this weekend off, David. Are you going to go out there?
I may have to venture out there. Yeah.
Have you ever done the black, Beth Page?
I never have. I've never played there. I'm dying to go out. I've never. I remember the last U.S. Open there was tremendous.
Now you're an adrenaline guy. Would you have fun just standing there watching golf?
Well, there's other scenery there too, Mike.
Okay, you like the trees and stuff.
I just like the energy of the crowd.
Actually, it's more exciting than. Have you been to a golfing event?
I have. Yeah.
No, doesn't do much for
really
you.
Float my boat. No.
You got to follow the right guys.
I guess. The 0-2. As guys that are professional athletes, were professional athletes, do you marvel at Tiger Woods that he could be that much better than everybody he plays with?
Just marvel at his competitive nature, how he continues to motivate himself. After all he's accomplished, and obviously he's chasing Jack Nicklaus's all-time major record, closing in. I think he's got 4 more to go to tie him. But just how that guy just is so intense, and how he continues to motivate himself and find ways to challenge himself, really, to me, is the key for any athlete to keep that, just your self-motivation going through all the years.
1-2. Strike 3. Martinez down looking. 0 for 4 for the rookie as Robertson puts him away. We looked up your extra base hits, guys. Al, you had 7 doubles and a triple. And David, you had 9 doubles. Any of them come close to going out?
First hit of my career was a one-hopper in San Diego. Short hop the wall. That was the best chance I had.
Fernando Tatis swings and misses.
Prototypical punch and Judy hitters up here, Michael.
Hey, you got hits in the big leagues. That's pretty special.
It's postseason too. It gets a postseason knock.
Somebody said the story, maybe it was you, I heard it from, where Clemens was in the All-Star game and a fastball came from whoever, I think it was Gooden, who was facing. Right. And he turned to the umpire, he said, "Do I throw that hard?" And the umpire said, "Yes." He said, "I'm never going to throw anything but a fastball." But true, a lot of times he's standing there realizing how hard it is to hit, especially these guys at special arms, 94 or better, 95 or better. The reaction time, you have less than a half a second on a 90-mile-an-hour pitch to determine what is the pitch, location, am I going to swing, and then swing. People I know all, if they like baseball, they go in batting cages and try the pitching machine stuff, and it really is a special art. You mentioned about golf, the consistency needed.
Swing and a miss. Tatis foul tips it, but held on to by Cervelli, and a 1-2-3 inning for David Robertson. We move to the bottom of the 8th. 15-0 Yankees here at the stadium. Yankees all day. 15-0 as the Yankees will take this series 2-1. And boy, did they need that, especially after getting swept in Boston. They had the improbable, amazing victory on Friday. They lose yesterday, and they're about to win this one 15-0. And the pitch to Matsui is a strike. Matsui today, 1 for 2, a home run, a 2-run shot, 2 walks, and 3 runs scored. It is amazing watching Matsui hit, because he hit the 3-run home run on his 35th birthday on Friday. Hits a home run today, and he might be the Yankees' streakiest hitter. I mean, there are times that he's lost for 3 weeks at a time, and then there's times he's just locked in. You don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I think much of it for him, certainly this year, has been his knees issue, making sure that his bottom half is part of his whole swing and his approach. Certainly doesn't say anything, will not make any excuses, had his knee drained. No athlete, especially baseball, but any athletic endeavor, that you can't do it effectively and consistently without your lower half.
I think the other Yankee option, as you talk about Brett Gardner, that won the center field job and subsequently lost it to Cabrera, sitting on the bench. Obviously they could put him in the outfield and DH Swisher, but it's so tempting to see Matsui get it going, as you said, Michael, especially in this ballpark, because he does have home run power.
But the interesting aspect of the option you bring up, that's the best Yankee defense, with Gardner in center and Melky in right. Swisher is probably a better DH than he is a right fielder. Phil Hughes begins to throw. Swing and a miss. Matsui down on strikes. Let's take a look at the play of the game, brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance.
Well, we just saw this not too long ago. Slip field and helping A.J. Burnett to get through this inning. High pitch count. Beautiful little transfer to Robinson Cano. Ramiro Pena. Nice play. That was your Geico play of the game.
There's Melky Cabrera. He is 2 for 4. And the pitch is outside, 1-0. Yankees have pounded out 17 hits, and the Mets just 4. A.J. Burnett, we should put a bow on that. He is certainly the pitcher today that gave the Yankees just what they needed. We told you at the beginning of the game on our open how the last 5 starts, the Yankees just have not given the team length, and it has emptied out the bullpen and worn out the bullpen. They needed length and effectiveness out of Burnett. They gave them just that, and you get 7 innings out of a guy and he's going to give up 3 hits. You sign up for that.
Well, that's the thing. What a contrast to his last start. Kind of get lost up in Boston against a dominating Josh Beckett. A.J. Burnett set the tone from the start. He came out, established his fastball, threw his breaking balls for strikes. When he did get into a bases-loaded jam, he worked himself out of it with a couple of big strikeouts. Conversely, Josh Beckett gave up 7 runs today. So you talk about start to start. I mean, as dominating as Josh Beckett looked his last start, he really struggled.
Well, let's check out Bob Lorenz, and he's got an update on something. Let's hear. Thank you, Bob. And the Phillies have been having such problems the last couple of years against the Red Sox. And for the Phillies, this is a great day. They'll beat the Red Sox, and the Yankees will beat the Mets, and the Phillies will pick up a game on the Mets. Cervelli grounds 1 foul.
I think I was mind melding with Bob Lorenz right there. Just set him right up, talking about Beckett. Now down in Philly, as he said, 9-5. But Beckett couldn't have been better in his last start, and A.J. Burnett couldn't have been worse. And you look at today, it's completely reversed, and that just goes to show you. You never know. But A.J. Burnett was very good today, very strong. Threw his breaking ball for strikes. Worked out of the big jam when he needed to, and the Yankees really picked him up. Obvious offensive outburst.
And Cervelli is out at first. Nice play by Takahashi as Cabrera moves to second. Hey, the final season, the official retrospective, is the perfect Father's Day gift. This coffee table book offers readers unmatched access to Pope Benedict, the 16th historic Mass, the 2008 All-Star Game, and the final game at Yankee Stadium. In the final season, Presidents Obama, Bush, and Carter weigh in on the historical significance of the ballpark in the Bronx. Purchase your copy today by calling 800-GO-YANKS or by visiting Yankees.com/publications. Good book. Really great stuff in there. And it would make a great Father's Day gift if your dad's a Yankee fan. And here's Angel Baroa. He swings at the first pitch and lofts it to left center field. Jeremy Reed is there battling the sun. He'll put it away for the final out of the bottom of the eighth. No runs, no hits, no errors, and one man left. Last licks coming up for the Mets. They trail by 15 on yes. Is brought to you in part by Firestone, a tradition of innovation, and by Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the New York Yankees. Big crowd here at the stadium today, 47,943. And the next time they meet, it'll be at Citi Field in Flushing, the new home of the New York Mets. Shea Stadium doesn't even exist anymore. It's a parking lot. 15-0. The Yankees lead the Mets, and the Yankees are looking for their third shutout of the season. And Phil Hughes, who needs some work, is going to come in and pitch the ninth inning. Great look at Manhattan on a beautiful Sunday in New York. Those are the numbers on Phil Hughes. And here's Wilson Valdez, pitches high. 39 and a third innings, 39 hits, 37 strikeouts, and 17 walks. I want to keep Phil Hughes sharp because Joe Girardi has said it, and you'll hear it on WB Mason Presents the Joe Girardi Show today after the postgame. Chien-Ming Wang has to perform on Wednesday. And Joe said this is a performance business, and if he doesn't perform, you know what? Phil Hughes might return into the rotation. So he's been impressive out of the bullpen. He comes in, he throws hard. That was a 94-mile-an-hour fastball right there. But the bottom line is Wednesday's going to be big for the Yankees and big for Chien-Ming Wang.
Well, I agree completely. I think one of the reasons, as you see Mariano just getting a little work there, one of the reasons that Chien-Ming Wang's getting another start, among others, is the Yankees felt like if you made that switch before, then you'd lose Phil Hughes for this weekend. And then possibly the Washington Nationals coming in too. I think the Mets felt like they need Phil Hughes in the pen this weekend. And certainly a 15-0 game, this is not what they had in mind, but Phil Hughes could easily be flipped back into the rotation. But I think the Yankees are stronger if they can get Chien-Ming Wang going. And Phil Hughes can really help them out in this role in relief.
Boy, David, I couldn't agree with you more. If you take Chien-Ming Wang out of the bullpen, you have destroyed an asset. Or take him out of the rotation. What is he in the bullpen? He's a mop-up guy. How are you going to fix him? And this is a guy who had won 38 games over a stretch of 2 years. It helps the team more if they fix him rather than say, okay, that's it. He's got to go in the bullpen, because he'll never come back. He's never going to have the ability to stretch himself out unless they somehow get him on the DL.
Well, I agree. And you said the 38 wins. I mean, guy, 2 years in a row, this guy won 19 games. It's in there. You know, for whatever went on through the winter or just him not getting right, he had the foot problem. All of that has to come to where he, along with Dave Eiland and video and coaching and mechanics and whatever it is, he's got to be right.
And Valdez loops one into center field for a base hit.
We're not talking about a guy that, you know, spent a couple years in the big leagues and did okay. I mean, he was dominating. You know, nearly Cy Young stuff a couple years in a row. I mean, win away from 20 wins.
This guy was the ace of a team for 2 years in a row that went to the playoffs. So, again, unless there's something physically wrong with him, and there doesn't seem to be, he was throwing 95 his last time out. It's in there. You got to fix it.
Well, I think, and you touched on it earlier, David, I think you have to show more than one pitch. There's very few pitchers that can get away with it, like Mariano Rivera does it as a closer. You're not trying to turn a guy around and flip a lineup over 3 times. And yes, he was able to do it, you know, those first couple of years. You know, teams know him. Maybe the sink isn't quite the same. It's more run. You have to have some other pitch to go to, because if assuming that not every start is an A game, you have to know where else to go.
When you see the 19-win years that we're talking about, then last year before he got hurt in 15 games, well, he was on pace for about 16, 17 wins. He was 8-2. And he actually got hurt 1 year ago tomorrow running the bases in Houston. So, according to the schedule, he should be starting on Tuesday, but they will induce labor with his wife. And then he's going to make the start on Wednesday. And it's a very big start. And I asked Joe, I said, right now in Boston, it kind of looked like it was mental. You know, he got into some problems, and all of a sudden he wasn't pitching well. Don't you think you're putting a lot of pressure on him to say that he has to perform well? There's a strike 3 to Ryan Church. And he said, you know what? He's pitched in big games before. He's got to be able to handle the pressure. And that's pretty much what they think. Time to announce the Chevy Player of the Game, as voted on by you, the fans, and the 3 of us here in the booth. So who was it?
Well, this is a no-brainer here. A.J. Burnett early on, I thought he established his curveball enough to be able to get the Mets hitters to start thinking about it. You see some emergency hacks there by Fernando Martinez. Great play there to end that, what looked like a miserable inning, starting off with a couple walks. A.J. Burnett, player of the game.
Pitch to Gary Sheffield is outside, 1-0. Well, the Mets, in what was going to be a tough week for them, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. Both games that they lost, they could have won. They blew leads. And it looks like they're going to lose 2 out of 3 to the Yankees, and they certainly could have and should have won on Friday. There's a ground ball to Baroa. They go to second, not in time, and Sheffield will reach. So a hustling Valdez got there ahead of the throw by Baroa.
See Baroa ranging. Probably would have been better served to let Pena, the shortstop, take that play, but he certainly has good range. Baroa, a former shortstop himself, had a little trouble getting the handle on it once he ranged that far and stabbed it. Couldn't quite get it out of his glove to make the throw.
I think you said it, the fact that Baroa has been a shortstop most of all of his career. That ball clearly looked like it was straight to Pena.
Foul the way they're going to give a single to Gary Sheffield.
You know, another, with sort of to finish the thought on Wong and Phil Hughes. The thing about Phil Hughes, and I think the Yankees did a great thing by keeping him in the big leagues, is I believe he's gotten more out of these relief outings than he ever would have in Scranton starting. And this whole stretched out notion, to me, is way overblown. This guy is already stretched out. You're not going to lose it that quickly if he pitches for a while in the bullpen until you figure out Wong. It's easy to get back up. Once you're already stretched out, it's easy to go from 50, 60 pitches up to 75 and 100 within 2 starts. So I think it's way overblown about, well, we got to keep him stretched out. He's stretched out right now, and he's helping this team right now in the bullpen. And his progress and his confidence have been helped much more by these outings he's had in relief here in the big leagues. as opposed to any outing you would have had in Scranton had you decided to option him back to Scranton once Wong went back in the rotation.
David, you think he could be the long-term answer in the 8th inning, his stuff was?
I believe he's talented enough to be that, yes. We've seen today, and every time he's coming out of the pen, he's throwing 94, 95 miles an hour, and he really didn't show that kind of velocity in the rotation.
The 2-1. There's a strike.
Now, I'm not saying you give up on him as a starter. You can get back to that later, but with Hughes and with Jabba Chamberlain, they're on innings limits anyway, so you need that versatility, and I think Phil Hughes has only added to his value around the league as a commodity. If ever a trade comes up on down the road that he can do both now, I think he's done nothing but enhance his value and his versatility. And I think also he's handled it so well. You know, he said all the right things. He's come out of the pen, and this is his 3rd relief outing since Wong took over in the rotation for him, and he's thrown the ball well. He's not getting a lot of help today with that last play, but he certainly has good velocity today, has handled this situation very well.
Well, in 2 relief outings entering today, 4 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts.
In addition to what you're saying, David, I think just the mindset that a reliever has to have when you come in a game, and it's short burst, it's basically empty in the tank, and paramount that you throw strikes and get ahead. So, I mean, I don't know how, I know you said you started with Kansas City relief and back and forth, and I had a little bit in the pen, and I know having done that and then starting it, you just kind of had a different look as a starter, understanding and realizing the importance of getting ahead. I mean, you already know that as a pitcher, and certainly as a reliever. The aggressiveness, you know, pounding the strike zone, getting ahead. And you make a good point. You know, if he were to get sent down, you know, the intensity certainly not nearly the same as if it were in Fenway Park or Yankee Stadium than Scranton Wilkes-Barre. For him to get a couple starts down there, to get his pitch count in and innings, the role that Joe Girardi's using him now, it's significant.
Swing and a miss. Blew it right by Daniel Murphy for his 2nd strikeout of the inning.
Let's see Phil Hughes just reaching back. Pretty good location, too. Inner 3rd. See Cervelli reaching over on the inside corner, and that's Phil Hughes. He's never had problems throwing strikes. He's always aggressive. The Yankee bullpen problems, especially early in the year, was just trying to get the ball over the plate. A lot of walks. Phil Hughes is very reliable in that regard in terms of good control and throwing strikes. And his velocity is definitely up.
And Snyder pops it up right behind the plate. Cervelli is there, and that's going to do it. As it's been all Yankees all day, and they win this one 15-0. So the Yankees take 2 out of 3 from the Mets. And in what was going to be a very tough week, they end up going 2-4 against the Red Sox and the Yankees. Red Sox on the bottom of the 8th, they're losing big to the Phillies right now. The Yankees 2.5 out. And if the Red Sox do, in fact, lose that game to Philadelphia, the Yankees will be 2 out. The Yankees this year are now 8-1 in rubber games this season, which is a great sign. They continue to win series, which is exactly what they want. The Mets drop to 32-29, and the Yankees go to 36-27. Jorge Posada had the day off, and he was a spectator in this one as the Yankees win 15-0. 15 runs on 17 hits, and the Mets get shut out. More to come. We'll make sense of it, and then the post game after that.